we are here with, we're here with some people that wanted to come on and be part of Gundam Gunpla Grunts, which is the first episode, hopefully, of a long series of episodes. And for our podcast. And we couldn't be more excited. We got Dave Thunder here. Say hello, Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave.
We got IC.
Hi there.
We got Locust Labs.
Hello.
We got Medica here.
Yes.
And we got the fake red comet.
Yeah, the fake red comet himself.
The not real red comet. So
I actually got 3 times slower than the average most.
3 times slower. He's not he's kind of red. He's more of a burgundy.
Real fake Char.
He's the real fake Char.
The notoriously not.
So first of all, thanks for agreeing to do this, and I appreciate y'all coming here. So it's they're a little quiet. We need to boost them. Do we really need to boost them? I mean, are they that important? Okay, we'll boost them. Okay, so first and foremost, we're all Gundam fans here and Gunpla fans. We'll start with David Thunder. David, tell us what your first experience was with maybe getting into Gundam, the show, and then maybe talk a bit about your first Gunpla experience.
Okay, so actually my first experience was with the model kit building. I got into it because I just went down a little rabbit hole on YouTube of like people building things. It started off with like Legos and went to Transformers, and eventually I came across some people building Gundam. And I just thought it looked really cool, so I looked into it a little bit more. And so I picked up a couple kits at a nearby hobby shop. My first 2 kits I got were Narrative Gundam C-Pack.
Wow. So this is like pretty recent, right? Like, I mean, this is not too long
this
ago.
was like last year in like June. So I'm pretty new to...
We got a noob, guys. We got a noob here.
Yeah.
Noob!
So yeah, it was Narrative Gundam, and
Yeah.
I got the high grade Amatsumina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I fell in love with it fast. It's been like just about 8 months, I think, more or less, and I already have like a lot, probably more than I should.
You've already got the backlog going?
Oh yeah, I have a backlog of like 10, 12 kits.
Yeah.
And I've built like 30 already.
Yes.
But yeah, I've watched some of Universal Century. I want to say I'm probably about 20 episodes in, but I've watched all of From Mercury. I'm trying to get more into it, but I want to follow the timeline as best as I can.
Well, so what was your first series?
It would be the original.
Century.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amuro and gang.
Did you watch it like sub, dubbed?
I do sub.
Sub. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a noob. Welcome. Okay. All right.
Yes, thank you.
I see. Tell us your experience with Gunpla and Gundam. What was your first? What was your first kit? Everyone remembers their first kit.
Technically speaking, my first kit was from like, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. It was like one of those like no grade G Gundam kits. I think it was I think it was the Bolt Gundam. Technically speaking, that was my first one, and then I didn't build for a long time after I got out of that for a while. And so recently, I got back into probably about pre-pandemic, so probably about 2019-ish. And my first kit was I was in like a store in the mall, and I happened to see those kits. I was like, "Oh, cool! I haven't seen these model kits in a while." It was the high grade Build Divers, the Magnum, the main villain, like the main rival guys. It was like the Silver Bullet Magnum or something, not Silver Bullet Magnum, the H2 Magnum or something like that.
Yeah.
That was like the first one that got me back into the hobby.
I gotta ask, what, like, from like the very first kit, the Bolt Gundam. Like, what do you remember? What made you buy it, or like?
Because I was into the show, so I'm like from way back when. Like my original Gundam experience is Gundam Wing and G Gundam.
Okay.
Like, the Toonami days.
Oh, okay. So what did you watch first, G Gundam or Wing?
Wing for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. We got the fake red. He changed his name to fake red comet. All right, so tell us a bit about your experience.
I think that mecha anime has just like been a very big part of my family for a long time.
Yeah.
We're all Latino, and in South America, like Macross is huge.
Okay.
And so my
cool.
uncles and stuff were like always trying to show me that. But when I
Oh, it
was
runs
little,
in the family.
oh yeah, when I was little, I started watching the anime Beat 'em On. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone remembers
Oh
that.
God.
Oh yeah, and I was like, this is so
That
cool.
shit.
Little robots that shoot marbles. And when I went to go buy the toy, it was a Playmo kit. And so like my uncle was like, yo, and he like whipped out like these like 50-year-old nippers. Not his nipples. And
Did they still
I built
work?
that. Yeah, of course. Cool. Yeah, so technically my first kit is like a beat 'em on kit, probably the main
Yeah.
character's kit. I remember being like red. But like when I was in high school, like 10 years ago now, I was watching Code Geass, Evangelion, and I didn't make the connection that these were mechs, and there were probably also more mechs out there for me to build until I was playing D&D at a local card shop, and I saw the Strike Freedom Justice Gundam.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a high grade model. It was like maybe like a second printing of it or something, because I know there's some that look different. And I built that, and I panel lined it, did a matte spray, and like it was like the first moment when I stared at it, I was like, oh fuck. And I did the same thing that Dave did, and like built like 30 kits in 2 months. And I watched like all of Universal Century, and like I'm still really obsessed with Universal Century.
Okay.
Which is why like the Red Comet Char really stuck out to me the most. I love the guy; he's insane. And then obviously I've watched all of the Witch from Mercury, and I've already liked Tomino's works beforehand, so I was really excited to see somebody like kind of spiritually go for that. Obviously, Code Geass, and I'm excited to talk about the show. Nice to meet everybody.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it. All right, Locust Labs, tell us your story.
All right, so I got into Gundam because of my girlfriend like 5 months ago. We were looking for a show to watch because we were bored, and she suggested we watch Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yes,
that's a keeper. That's a keeper.
And
It's a
I'm
good
a
one.
mech designer, so she was like, "Oh, you will love the mech designs in this."
Yeah.
And so we watched it, and I was all over it. I was like looking at the kits, but the problem is I'm in Europe, and Gundam basically doesn't exist in Europe. Getting kits is super
Really?
hard. Unless you can find like one of the online stores just had a restock.
Yeah.
And apart from that, there's almost no like physical. I just walk up to the store and they have all the stuff I want.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
hard.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually visited her for 2 months, till December last year.
Yeah.
And she had bought me the basic Barbatos.
Okay.
And that was the first kit that I assembled. I think it was just Barbatos. And
did you like
the same day, yeah, I liked it a lot. But it's standing in my shelf, but it's kind of janky. The sword is too big, and it doesn't like standing up because of the weird feet.
Yeah.
And I think I remember correctly, we went the same day to the local Hobby Lobby to buy more Gunpla.
Oh, okay.
And
they have hella Gunpla there.
And they were having a sale, so we paid like $50 for like 4 kits. I think I got an XER Real Grade, a Zaku, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And during my 2-month trip, I think I dropped like $300-400 on Gunpla and came back with 16 kits.
Wow. So that
And
made an impression for sure.
And since then, I bought a few things when I found like a store locally that has some that I go to every 2 weeks to check. And then I order stuff online, but I'm trying to cut back on it to save money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bane of all Gunpla existence, you know, like try to not buy the newest shiniest thing. What do you mean this is
you need a
Bandai?
Zeon.
What do you mean this is Gundam base?
Hot take.
Yeah,
Zeon is a good thing because it keeps me from spending money.
Oh.
And not just one Neo Zeon, you need 12.
What was your first? Oh, so your first series was IBO then, right?
Yeah, my first year was IBO. After that, we started watching like the movies. We watched Stardust Memory.
Awesome.
Eighth MS team.
that's like the Top Gun of Gundam. It's amazing.
Yeah, 8th MS team, and then
Yeah.
of course, which From Mercury came out, and we've been all over that. Our DM, my girlfriends and my DMs are basically just filled with Soletta and Miorne ships.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
High five.
So how did you like IBO? Like, what was your impression of that?
So I really I loved the first season,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked the designs in the second season, but I was really mad about how it ended.
Yeah, a lot
At
of people
first,
were mad.
Like, I was really mad how they, handled the last few episodes, and the fact
Yeah.
that kind of the conflict was resolved by, I don't want to give spoilers, but by doing basically what had to be done, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
But after thinking about it a lot more than I had, I've actually come to the conclusion that I'm okay with it. That it makes, like, in a narrative world sense, it actually does make sense that it goes down the way it does.
You've come
It's
to
kind
terms.
of-
I agree. And like when you look at
I
the
agree.
characters, you kind of have to ask, could it have really ended any other way?
No, it
Exactly.
couldn't
What do you
have
mean?
ended
Whoa,
any
whoa,
other
whoa!
way.
Why can't we have everyone lives happily ever after? What's wrong with you guys?
Because they're
What's wrong with
children
you
that
guys?
don't know.
the end result of war is destruction, and that's the point of Gundam. Unless you're build fighters.
And the
No,
point
no,
of
Build
IBO
Fighter is the end result of Gunpla.
Like, you're gonna hurt a lot of
It's
people's
freedom.
feelings, especially the newbies.
and
No.
the-
Build fighters is awesome. Let me be clear.
No, I do.
Yeah,
No, I'm
Build
just
Fighters
saying.
is awesome. Give me another series with Reiji.
Hell yeah.
I think
yeah.
so why I accept the ending as it is because the reason it happens is because they kind of steer away from the path they were on and let their ambitions cloud their judgments
they-
of what is right. And then by the end, the only way for things to get better for everybody is for Tekkadan just has to die. They have to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And somebody like Mikazuki I don't think Mikazuki would have been able to live in a world where it's not about I'm going to get him Barbatos and just kill everything.
Well, especially in that state, right? That he's. That
You know,
Yeah,
he
like
was
yeah,
in.
he
especially
said he wanted to
after-
become a farmer, but that dream's
Not with-
kind of dead.
Not without using all your limbs. You need a human wheelchair to carry you around.
But he-
All right, he gets hushed for that. Had
all
hushed
right,
for
all
that.
right. Medic, tell us your first Gunpla experience and your first series you were exposed to.
Okay, so this is a bit of a long story since it's been on again, off again until I finally managed to actually get into it.
Okay.
Okay, so first series was back in high school. I was looking around like, I like Transformers. Might as well check into some of this other mech stuff. What was the first Gundam that came to America? And so I started watching the Wing dub on my own and got about 3 episodes in before saying, this is boring.
How do I ban you? How do I ban you from this conversation?
How do I make you my best man at my wedding?
Continue. Keep going.
And so I didn't try again until until I was starting college. So around 2018, I was getting back into Xenoblade X. Found out, hey, the Formula Scale has a model kit. So I bought that. I built it. I was like, this is cool. Well, but where can I find other machines designed like it? And then I found out, hey, the mechanical designer also worked on 00. So I watched through 00 and bought a heavy weapon Cerevi while trying to buy a regular Cerevi.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
And all things considered, my thoughts on the kit are eh. However, then I bought a Union Flag Graham Custom.
Okay.
And then I bought another one.
And
Wait,
another
you
one.
bought 2?
Yeah, I wanted to use one to customize.
Okay.
Bit of kit bashing, slapped on some Seraphim arms.
Did you repaint it all, or did you just kind of?
No, I don't know how to paint for shit, but the Seraphim arms already match the color.
Cool. The Union flag is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, no, the Union flag, favorite
Yeah.
mobile suit. Love the design. Love my angular skinny boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys all so with your first Gunpla, do you guys still have your first
Yes.
your first one?
No.
Yes, the
It's
old
like-
are in bins somewhere.
Mine are my first one's up on a shelf right next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got one right behind me.
Like I just didn't have a good place to shelve it. Then I moved, and now I'd have to get it out of the bin.
Girl, I
Okay.
get it.
Oh, and also Build Divers was airing at the same time, so I got into that, liked it, and now I look back and wonder what the fuck was wrong with me.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, my first experience with like Gundam Gunpla was a little bit different. I think it was like, geez, I don't know, I must have been like, can't remember how old, but I was like a young kid, and my mom would have like a lot of guys come over at night, and they would go to the bedroom and they play like Smash Bros. It's like really loud and stuff, right? And they always like come out like sweating and stuff. And one guy, he came over and he dropped off his kid, and the kid had I think it was like an RX, like the grandpa Gundam, but it was like beat to shit, whatever. And so I stole it off of him when well, I didn't really steal it off of him. I didn't really steal it off him. He left it here when his dad gave my mom a bunch of money because they lost in Smash Bros. And basically I kept it. I don't know where the hell that thing is, but my actual like first time building a model kit was I went to the store, and I think it's Toys R Us. I'm not sure if they still have Toys R Us nowadays, but
No,
the
it's
Toys
gone.
it's gone.
There's like one left.
Go to Toys R Us, and I think I was like 13 or like 10 years old. I don't remember, but I saw the original GM Master Grade, and I had no idea what a Master Grade was. I don't know what the hell a model kit was. I saw this thing and I'm like, I want it. And so I picked it up and I brought it home. So in order to build this thing, I used scissors that were used for cutting fingernails. So
my god!
I used those.
I've been there, dude. I've been there. Yeah,
You maneuver that. Like, it's better than my early model kits. Before I know how to build, I was just kind of twisting the pieces out of the frame.
Oh my god!
Damn.
That poor Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. I used that and the twisting of and all that stuff. All the nut marks were pretty much there still, but I built that thing, and it was my first ever kit. And my first series was the greatest, probably one of the greatest old ones is Gundam Wing. Is one of my favorite series, still is, and everyone who says it's not, well, they don't know any better. So
Okay, so I'll say this. I am enjoying my rewatch of Wing, but mostly because I'm watching with a friend so we can laugh our asses off as Hero tries and fails to kill himself.
Sometimes I wonder if he's got better plot armor than Kira Yamato, but I don't know.
No. Hero's actively trying to kill himself. I'm pretty sure Kira had at least some self-preservation. But at this point, we kind of just have the theory it's a D&D campaign gone off the rails.
Yeah. It's
It
ridiculous.
explains so much.
A Lancer campaign.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't have some sort of scenes of them doing karaoke or like an underground like rock band trying to infiltrate. I'm surprised they didn't come up with that idea in that show. It would have been perfect.
Yeah, no, just fucking undercover Troa going ham on the violin.
Society wasn't ready.
Also, I'm pretty sure Wing has one of the protagonists with the highest kill counts in Katra.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
no, he was just detonating colonies.
Yeah, he.
That's
Zero,
right. Oh, yeah.
I don't think any protagonist has that kill count.
Any protagonist ever?
That's
In
when he was
Gundam,
going
I mean.
like apeshit with the Wing Zero.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was going
yeah.
ape shit. His parents were dead.
Yeah.
Sister was dead. He somehow
was mad.
single-handedly built the fucking Wing Zero.
The Zero system basically convinced him that the only answer was to destroy everything.
Yeah, that
It was like
the Wing Zero system will do that.
Yeah.
I was not
It's
expecting
gonna
the
do
Zero
that.
system to be played for this much horror, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty dark when you think about it, right? Like it's
Oh yeah.
even bad. But
like,
as a kid,
everyone
you're
was-
like, ooh, giant robots, ooh,
Exploding.
explosions.
And you don't see them die, so you don't know it because you're a kid. You don't recognize what you can't see.
Yeah,
and then there's Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah, it's a whole different story.
Okay, so I put off watching Iron-Blooded. Well, I put off watching Iron-Blooded Orphans solely because the name made me think, oh, this is going to be edgy as shit. And
you're right.
So
no, you're kind of right, yeah.
So my roommate basically had me flip a coin, and basically heads I'd watch Iron-Blooded Orphans, but he'd watch with me. Tails, I'd watch 08th MS Team, which was what I was debating because I heard that was really good, and it came up heads. We watched it, we loved it, and yeah.
I gotta ask, have you seen War in the Pocket?
I have not. I have not watched any of the OVAs.
Okay,
don't worry. We'll get there.
We'll get there one day. Yeah.
All I know about it is hamburger.
Hamburger.
Yeah. All right. So, moving on to Witch from Mercury. The season 1 is obviously finished and it was quite interesting, but we're not gonna try and spoil stuff for people who haven't seen the last episodes to the best we can. We're going to be talking about the prologue and the first 3 episodes. And I when I watched the prologue again and I actually took time to make notes and pause and stuff, there was some really interesting stuff that I came across that really clicked now that I've finished the season. Yeah, the first thing, right? We know Eerie is 4 years old, right? Mm-hmm. She's just a little kid. It actually says that she's 4 years old, and her personality is I would say it's very different than when we see her at school. She's very bright, she's very open, she's very outgoing, she's floating around, when there's a bunch of people around, she's yelling and shouting, she doesn't care. And I guess you could attune that to just being a kid, but I don't know, I feel it's very different from what we see from Soletta.
Before I answer this, there's a question. There's a light novel between the prologue and the first episode.
Yeah.
I've read the light novel. Should we just talk about what's told there, or should we ignore that because it's outside media from the show?
If you guys want to talk about it, we can talk about it. Sure.
I'd say that goes along with the summary of it, to describing how Soletta wound up the way she does. Just because, her entire socialization was just anime and manga she was streaming into the aerial. 2,
oh my god, she's neat.
Everyone else on Mercury was significantly older,
right,
and didn't much care for her or her mother beyond their use in search and rescue operations.
Yeah, that's true.
Soletta is just traumatized, straight up.
But is she traumatized though? Because she was having a good time blowing up everything in the prologue. I don't think she understood.
Yeah, she definitely didn't understand what she was doing.
There has to have been a time in her life when she realized what had happened, or she wasn't even reminded of this time because she was 4, and she could have just been led to assume that there was no father in her life.
Yeah.
That hasn't been explicitly addressed yet.
Well, we'll talk when we get into I think it's episode 3. Yes. We'll talk about whether we think she knows or what happened. But one of the interesting things that I found was in the prologue, it seemed like the Earth and Vandis kind of combined to create the Gundam, basically the Gundam system for military purposes, right? And we see this big, huge kind of scene where it's all the the companies that are kind of space, they're freaking out, right? They're we need to stop them. We can't let them have the Gundam. So it's almost like a counter to what we've seen in the original Gundam, right? Where it's the Xeon Empire is like wants to like
They wanna be
or is it
free.
they want to crush, like they want to like be free from Earth and stuff, but like in this one it's like they want to you know,
Earth wants to be free from space.
yeah, exactly, yeah, so it's like
Well,
the vice
actually,
versa.
In the original Gundam, Daekun's vision, Char's father's vision, was
Yeah.
to liberate space from the Federation.
Right.
But then it became twisted to that, and it became about just kind of with the Zeons returning that abuse,
Right.
and just crushing them instead. And that's war, and that's a product of, like, I think the political landscape that was
Right.
happening in the 60s, obviously, all the wars.
Yep.
Today, I would say that the Earth itself is trying to liberate itself from the profiteering. And the motivation in taking out this Gundam before it becomes something very, very profitable for this corporation,
Right.
because it comes from that. So the liberation itself is from a corporation rather than it is a nation or a state.
Right. So one of the things too is like we see is like, I mean, we've seen it everywhere before. It's that one little like tiny few seconds of you know, the like a person holding up a sign, Gundam took my child.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so what do you guys like think about that? Is it, because it doesn't say like Gundam, right? It doesn't say like it's the gun format. It's a Gundam, and then it took my child. And like from the brief picture, it doesn't seem like a really elderly person's holding it up. Like you can't really tell, and I don't think maybe it's, you know, you're kind of meant to know. But the fact that it has my child, do you think this was maybe an early experimentation kind of on actual children, or is it someone who signed up for, you know, to be a pilot of a Gundam, or is it someone who signed up for part of the process of like actual just, you know, kind of yeah, because we see other other photos of like almost like a cyberpunk picture of or shot of behind a person where it's like almost entirely robotic, like a cyborg. So I'm just wondering what you guys think of that stuff.
I think that the person who died, you know, the one holding the sign, their
Yeah.
child was probably a pilot.
Okay.
If they knew it worked well with children, I'm sure they'd have more children test pilots. So I don't think it was that case. It was probably an older pilot who died because of, you know, racism.
My guess.
I also wouldn't be surprised. Sorry for cutting you.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just to be like a Gundam killed my child, like, oh, they were having a fight and the Gundam shot a building because the enemy was hiding in it.
Right.
Or it could be like maybe a malfunction or something, had collateral damage.
If you
I feel
think
like that'd
about
be more
it,
of a mobile suit issue, though.
well, yeah, I think if you think about it, all of the business leaders live and operate in space, and then the characters that we've actually seen come from Earth are, I guess, one, looked down on by these people who run these businesses, but also they're like way more hardcore. So my guess is that the businesses that exist in space and profit off of all this people building Gundams, they have to sell it to somebody. I think they're still selling it to these countries on Earth where they fight each other. But we haven't seen that explicitly, and we haven't really explored the. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we don't like the thing. I'm wondering too is like like where is the business going, right? Like we know that. I mean, because we haven't seen any conflict or really heard of conflict on Earth between countries that like I can remember, unless you guys can remember something. But
no, we haven't really heard anything about
the show hasn't been about that yet. Yeah,
I don't remember that. So and we know that like originally the gun format was to like assist humans, right, in order to like live in the space environment in the because like the dysfunctions, right, like that we get in space, right?
Yeah, the new types.
Yeah, they're like trying to artificially create new types.
Yeah. One of the interesting things, I wonder if I still have this picture here that I can put up. I don't know. Here it is. Let me see if I can expand it, because I thought it was
Yeah, this is super funny.
Pretty interesting. So like when we see them talking about like what are the issues of like Earth and the spacings, it's so different. Like Earth seems to have like a poverty, it's like a population poverty issue going on there. And it's a lot of it's more about like kind of the human and social aspect, right? Employment, like taxes, right? And fair trade. It's all like very social stuff, right? But when we see like this spacey and stuff, it's like a lot of corporate kind of stuff, right? Like how can we defend ourselves? We want free competition, infrastructure, energy, and like I'm not sure if welfare is basically just meaning like, like the welfare paychecks or just general welfare of the people. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I actually have
it might be the second. I think just contextually. I think their own well-beings.
Their own well-being, yeah.
It might be better to see like what the like literal translation would be from Japanese, because this could be more of a localization thing.
Oh, okay.
This is the sub version, though.
It is a sub version.
No, you're right.
I actually have an idea for this, because I've noticed that whenever we see this, we haven't really seen like habitats in space. We've heard about like Front, and the Front management company shows up in the very first show. What I could imagine is that space is very much more about everybody who lives in space basically all works for one of the big companies, but because we're in space, there isn't really scarcity, because there's basically infinite space in like living space. There's a lot of resources, while on Earth there isn't a lot of resources anymore. And the people from space who have all the resources to build their hundreds of mobile suits and stuff kind of have the thumb down on Earth.
I have to imagine if any resources are going to space, they're coming from Earth.
Well, we don't know that because they haven't talked. We'll get to something a bit later in the next episode or two, but there's a mention about mining on like different planets. So I'm assuming if there's a mention of that, then I'm assuming maybe they can mine asteroids and stuff like that. So I don't know, but
you're right.
The resources, I would assume maybe they've come to a point where they relied on her Earth heavily, but now maybe not so much.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's something like G Gundam. Earth is a shithole. Earth is their dumping ground. Everyone who had the money to get off of Earth got off Earth. And then they pretty much pulled up the ladder behind them. And everyone left. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the lower class.
No, I could totally see that.
Yeah, and also, we haven't really seen like living colonies. We've only seen colonies in terms of like a company's colony or the school colony.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen like actual. So we don't know their self-sufficiency.
And we've only seen like the companies that we actually see are like the top tier companies, right? Like I think
there's only 5, right?
No, there's actually 151.
Yeah.
Well,
those are only the companies in the
circle. In that circle is 151 companies.
What you're saying is the Bennett Group
of corporations.
Well, there's like mega conglomerates.
Is the Kanto Pokedex.
Kinda, yeah. Kind of.
Gotta catch them all.
Kinda, yeah.
Sweater collecting heads.
So then we kind of move on a little bit, and we get to we see Eerie, we see Dr. Cardo, and Eerie's mom. And there was something interesting that she said. She had mentioned in order to live in space, like your mom, your dad, you need an adaptive body. So that kind of like made me think a little bit, like maybe it's not all about just kind of being like in terms of you controlling the Gundam with with your mind and stuff like that through the data stream and stuff. Maybe there was something that was a bit more, and I'll come to that a bit later. But that was like one thing that kind of made me think a bit more, especially what's kind of been happening in the show so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do discuss that as the harsh reality of living in space. You need augmentation.
Yeah.
However,
yeah,
most of the Benric group that we see outside of like Pale, outside of Pale and their granny gang, doesn't really have that. So I think it's more specifically,
or at least none that we can see.
You know, it seems like more like it's more referring to the hostile environments of other planets, like, and not the fucking climate-controlled colonies.
There's also I don't know if you guys have like seen studies involving like astronauts in real life. You, depending on how long you're up there, you actually have to like do special workouts because of muscle atrophy.
Muscle atrophy.
They had like 2 astronauts that were twins, and they even did like an experiment. One spent a year up there, one didn't, and they saw how like their physiology was different after coming back.
Yeah.
Actually, by the end of the series, it's just going to be Wally.
But like what we've kind of seen in other Gundam series is like, you know, sometimes scientists or whatever, they take an idea, you know, and they maybe go a bit too far. So this kind of made me think maybe like, you know, you have a good idea, like we'll adapt humans, you know, we'll maybe give them, you know, we'll go cyberpunk on them. But what if like, you know, maybe we could do something where we, you know, actually have their consciousness inside like a mobile suit, you know, and just they become the mobile. I'm going crazy, but you know, just
can't really talk about.
I would say that, yeah, I would say that
this is for later.
yeah, but that's just something that kind of just popped in. It's just something that popped into my mind, like right now, you know, as we're not going to discuss too much of it, but
I mean, Eva theory exists.
Yes.
Well, even in the context of the prologue, we can kind of touch on that a little bit, because I believe Eri's mother was talking about how they needed to get past this layer in order to advance the Gundam technology. So them developing these Gundams was just kind of a means to an end to actually push forward what they wanted to actually work on, and that being Gundam and all that like medical side of the things.
Yep. And she couldn't get to layer 33, I believe. So she was stuck at layer 32. So
I have a theory on that as well. And I assume it's because they were doing all their testing on adults rather than children with significantly more neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume that. We can assume that.
From how Eri interacted with Gundam.
Because like the fact that this leaves people brain dead rather than just, well, given we saw people who in hospital beds kept on life support as a result of this, it seems like the issue isn't anything physiological. It is that the data feedback is frying their fucking brains.
It's neurological.
There was one thing that leads me kind of to believe that possibly children were tested or something, because when we see Eri and her mom and it shows like Eri connected to the Ilfrith, her mom
seems pretty terrified.
Yeah, her look is not like a nani, like a surprise. It's actually horror. So part of me like this kind of believes that possibly they have been testing, or they know of children being tested, and now it's kind of like you're actually now connected, like you're Fubard or something. You know what I mean?
Remember, her mom has known the. No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, so like, remember, her mom is known this doctor for years, and we even have a picture of her as like at oldest a teenager. With this, with the doctor. So she's probably reliving, like she was very likely also a test subject when she was a child.
That's actually a possibility. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I don't buy. I think it's a far more simple look of horror in, oh God, my 4-year-old's now connected to a weapon.
Yeah, I agree with Medica on this one. I don't think it was a deal of like knowing about the kids, because if they knew that this was more, I guess,
if kids could do
easy
it,
to work on with kids, they definitely would have used more kids rather than forcing it on like adults.
As far as the context of this is like a pilot episode, no pun intended.
Yeah.
We get these motivations from the people who support Gundam and the people who are anti-Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
and then we see them change as a result of what happens in this episode, like moving forward through the series. So with Elnora, we have this look of horror on her face, seeing how like there's this like new revelation to her about the Gundam and how it interacts with her daughter specifically, or with the youth. And then we have the counter, at least the face level counter argument from these people that want to take down Gundam, that it's the wrong direction for humanity to take. And I like that you watching this episode, you can absolutely like feel for both sides on what the direction humanity like should take is, and that makes it a really good, I think, a really effective pilot for me in just like establishing like the themes for the rest of the series.
Yeah,
It's
as well
not
as like the moral
quite
conflict.
just that too, because okay, so this will be dragging in some information from the model kit manuals, but so I don't fucking remember the name of it, but the one piloted by that ace in the prologue that had the
The
antidote.
Beg and View, I think it is.
My big boy,
Beggar View or something like that.
Yeah.
The thing with the fuck you awards.
Kananji? You're talking about the one that
with
was
the
fighting?
anti-Gundam, with the anti-Gundam mobile suit.
Yeah, Kananji, right?
I don't know his name.
I think that's his name.
either.
I wrote down Slim Boy Kananji, so.
Wait, so I was always wondering, why the hell do they have something specifically designed to kill Gundam? And it turns out that's not what it is. It is from a previous conflict known as the Drone War, and it targets remote links.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
there's
which probably
more to
also
this
come-
than we know.
Well,
So
we
yeah,
did.
no, it probably has something to do with the whole argument of only people can kill people. Also, kind of tying into Gundam.
Oh
Wing.
wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Mobile dolls are immoral because someone just needs to press a button and send them on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like
No,
Delling's whole thing, right, is like, well, we can't have the mobile suits killing the pilots. We need mobile suits that have pilots killing other mobile suits that have pilots in them.
Yeah, no, his argument is we need a person to make this call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like that changes the context of a lot of his argument a bit.
Yeah, the fact that there's some previous conflict where there's like non-humans killing humans, kind of like an IBO, being the reason why it's like that. Especially that also makes sense because they say Delling has a lot of previous combat knowledge, and that's why he's even on there, because he basically walks into this meeting and is like, "Stop, bitches! I'm taking over. I don't care what you guys have to say."
Yeah.
No, basically just fuck Gundam.
I think that's going to be so important because like moving into the rest of the series.
I think they will talk about that.
So
later.
That's going to come up later.
There, and actually, an episode that we've watched, we're gonna come up with. There's gonna be another hint of like that tie-in. The other thing too was when they actually they do the whole coup, and one of my questions was, we see Wendy in this piloting a mobile suit. This is not the same Wendy as in future episodes. Is that right?
Yeah. Wendy.
We don't know it's her for sure.
Oh, I thought we see Wendy like just die. No.
Well, I mean,
I
guess not. Yeah, because like the mobile suit didn't explode.
Yeah, and so we don't know it's her. I mean, I think it's implied, and I think also like maybe like Twitter got into our heads a little bit as to whether or not it is her specifically.
Because she did technically, like, she worked for Vandus and she worked on the mobile suit. But we'll talk about that later. We'll discuss that when we get there. But so the episode goes in. We have the coup. And when they invade Dr. Cardo's office, there's another depiction like in her office about like, you see a lot of humans and they're like almost, the thing is, it gets to me because there's humans that almost look more machine than human. And that's kind of like why I'm and going back to the whole doll thing is, well, what if you didn't have an AI controlling the mobile suit? What if you actually had a consciousness controlling the mobile suit?
You'd have to gray his eye.
That's actually really
I
interesting.
don't think that's implied until later in the series yet, though.
That's actually really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
in my own setting, I do that. Like,
Yeah.
I have my own like mecha setting, and I basically have a faction that counter AI mobile suits by
Right.
taking one pilot, cutting the brain out of the head,
Yeah.
and implanting it in the mobile suit.
So
And then they add a second pilot to that.
so
they're more
that's
efficient than before.
yeah. So that's what I was referring to is like how we
Specific rim with extra steps.
how Gundam like
Yes.
takes an idea like or like you know a person does in the series and they take it a bit further, right? Like you know what you had in IBO, the Vignela system, right? And then you actually like basically put someone's consciousness in like in the Eins, right? Which is like
Ridiculous went
absolutely
all the way
insane.
with it.
And then later in the
And then they just
VTuber.
shoved Ein's brain in a piloted
Yeah.
mobile suit,
Yeah.
and it all came full circle.
So this is kind of like why that's part of what was the IBO, and just seeing her office was like a lot of humans just being more like turned into kind of like machine like, and the whole cyberpunk imagery and just like hooked up like neurofeedback into like controlling machines. And just you know, before we go into like the other future episodes, but that's just kind of like what was stirring in my brain, because Gundam, like let's face it, Gundam can go in crazy directions. So
I think it's
especially with this
interesting-
writer, right? So he's been known to do some interesting things.
Before I ask a separate question, I just like to point out that the entire first season, these first 12 episodes, ended up just feeling like an extended version of the first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam. Like it was just a really effective way to introduce us to all these characters in a way that we'll care about them in a much deeper way that like you couldn't do in 1979.
Right.
Because and I really like that about this, because it really just feels like the tip of the iceberg, and I hope
Okay.
we get the full 50 episodes.
That's what I was about to say, that right now I feel like there's this huge world we haven't even been introduced to, so
Mhm.
that we can enjoy the characters inside that setting more. And here's another thing I want to mention. So I watched the episodes yesterday with one of my friends, and I feel like there's a lot of setup going on where it's like, here's a thing that happens
Yep.
that you will not understand why it happened the way it did
Yep.
for the next 20 episodes. And my
Gundam
friend
does that
was
all the
actually
time. Yeah.
my friend was actually really mad about this and called it lazy writing, because he's like, no, if I don't know exactly what's going on right away, it's bad.
No, that's
That's
just
the
MCU
just
effect.
someone wanting the dopamine hit right away, you know?
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
leading to like a nice build up and payoff later on.
So,
I mean,
so
it's
what-
paid off
What
really
foreshadowing
well.
is.
we,
Yeah, exactly.
So we got 3 other episodes. What do you guys?
Yeah.
What would you give the prologue out of 10? 10 being like amazing, 1 being absolute dog shit. We'll start with Dave. Dave, what are you gonna give the episode?
Oh man, I'm gonna give it personally a 10. I think it did a really good job introducing a lot of really cool and unique characters and immediately getting rid of a lot of them, or pretty
Yep.
much all of them.
Yep.
Animation was really nice. The action was great.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I cried. Like it was,
I
it was
Yep.
it was a really nice balance between just like getting to know these characters, nice action, powerful emotion, and just like a good setup. I feel like that could have just been a standalone, and I still would have loved it regardless.
I see.
I'm also gonna go with a 10 because my rule of thumb is if you get me emotionally invested enough to the point where I'm crying at the end,
Yep.
you're already golden. The fact that this is the prologue and did that, incredible. And like just parroting pretty much animation, it really builds a solid world in just a prologue in just 23 minutes or 24 minutes.
Okay. Fake red comment.
I guess we'll keep the train going. This is my favorite episode of a Gundam series
Okay.
in like a really long time.
Yeah.
Like 10 is what I would say as a fan. I was
10
anticipating-
Tanukis. Okay.
Yeah, 10 Tanukis, 10 little
Yeah.
red pandas,
Yeah.
and little icy snowmen.
Okay.
But I think as an outsider, an outsider looking in will watch this first episode and really be into like this like Game of Thronesy political espionage type
Yep.
thing moving forward.
Yep.
And then be really disappointed that they're going to be forced to watch a little bit of Utena Revolutionary Girl before the series gets back into it.
Okay.
But I also love that stuff. So
Okay.
I'll leave it
Locus, how many tomatoes are you giving this?
I'm giving this 10 tomatoes because of the same reasons that everybody else has said. It sets up the world so perfectly, and it gives you all these characters. And even though some of them, one of the characters is there for one scene, then immediately gets headshot.
Yeah.
And you still care about them dying. And then I've watched this 3 times, and I've cried at the end every single time. So I have to give it a 10 tomatoes.
Okay.
Out of 10 tomatoes.
All right. Medic, out of 10, the permit score is 10, is the highest. What are we giving it?
Oh, God.
Okay, so I'm going to be the dissenting opinion. Permit score 9, mostly because of that drone war or thing. Like, that should have been mentioned. Otherwise, everyone agreeing to Delling suddenly just feels a bit out there. And it's not like it's meant to be some big reveal, given it's in the tie-in model kit manuals.
Yeah. That's something that I kind of picked up, but only like with actually like studying the episode. If I was watching it casually, like probably a lot of people, honestly, I probably would have not picked that up.
I feel like when we get to Earth, we're gonna finally hear about it and like get an experience from it.
We'll get there by dropping Colony.
But other than that, it's a great episode, great introduction to the world, immediately sets the stakes, explains what the fucking Gundam is, why the fuck it matters, and who the hell our first real antagonist is going to be.
Yeah. Okay, so now we move on to episode 1, and we see here that we see the school, right? It's Astasia School of Technology, and it actually looks like the scenery. It looks amazing. It looks super clean. It almost looks like kind of like those rich preppy schools. You know what I mean? But even more rich because you just got casual mobile suits, kind of just going around. People are learning and stuff.
Speaking of mobile suits, I just find it so weird that Ghoul's opponent in that episode, we never see a mobile suit like that anywhere else.
I actually think that's one of the mobile suits that's releasing, the one that's like riding the plane. I don't know the name right now.
The Tickle Bang.
Is that what it's called?
That's the one.
Yeah, it's based on mythology in the Philippines.
It's the only thing that looks close to it. But yeah, I did mention that too when I rewatched it. There's no exact kit for that suit. It has a one-off fight and then it's gone.
Yeah.
I googled it. Well, I checked it on the wiki earlier, and it's not in any of the other episodes this season.
Yes, it is not.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We're jumping ahead.
Sorry.
So it's okay. We're this is actually the first. So we see like Soletta, right, in her like Soletta.
You mean Eri?
No, Soletta.
This is
a totally different. No, so we see Soletta Mercury.
I wonder what that's about.
So we see a Soletta Mercury, and we get the first little glimpse where she says, "If you move forward, you gain 2." And we're obviously gonna hear this a lot more as it's like her motto. It's her motto.
Her mantra.
YOLO.
Wink, wink. If somebody understands what that means.
Yeah. She's so it's interesting that it's Soletta Mercury because she looks a lot like Eri, so we can kind of assume that maybe this is Eri at this point. And
her false name because her last name's probably paints a target on her back.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. And we see her try and save this mysterious astronaut floating around that has low oxygen. And you all know who it is, right? Who is it?
Of course. It's Miorne.
Yeah, Miorne.
Yeah.
So she saves Miorne, and she's fucking pissed because she wants to get to Earth, which, this is probably the dumbest way to do it. You know what I mean?
We get a bit more context on that next episode, but we'll get there.
Yeah, but in this really episode, kind of,
I'll just float down.
Yeah, we're just gonna float down like an idiot. So it's like not the brightest move for someone who is in like technology management, right? Should we find out she's
Wait, no.
Management.
Oh, this was like business side.
To be clear, she was gonna get picked up by somebody.
Yes, she. Yeah, that's what we. Well, that's what we think.
And
Because
she
she almost
did
ran out of
pick up.
oxygen, right?
No, Suletta just interpreted her frantic waving as almost out of oxygen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like, no,
Yeah,
don't
it
pick
just
me up,
doesn't
don't
look
pick
that.
me up. That's
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
Miri was trying to say, no, get the fuck away from me.
Okay. So, we get that. We see there, like, okay, it's like, why did you save me, et cetera, et cetera. And, she's MAD. She's mad.
We get a headbutt.
We get a headbutt and stuff. She's saved. We finally get back down to the school and we see, like, Soletta's first interactions. And I don't know about you guys, but this is just like a personal thing. The stuttering, it like some people found it adorable. I was annoyed to hell.
I 100% agree. I'm not a big fan of like the stuttering, super nervous all the time main characters. I let it slide because I love mecha.
Yeah.
But yeah, throughout the series, like it definitely kept bugging me. I definitely enjoyed watching like a lot of the other characters more, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see how she was definitely more confident when she was inside of Ariel. Yeah, because that's like her safe place. That's what she knows.
Yeah. What did the rest of you think about your first impressions of Soletta in the school setting?
So I thought it was really
adorable.
cute.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, like, I guess as the show went on, it kind of, I'm just kind of waiting for that moment where like something really fucking bad happens,
Yeah.
and he's just like, okay,
Yeah, I know
I'm
I'm
in
gonna miss
serious
this.
mode now.
Yeah.
I'm in serious mode now. It's time to kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where I loved it. She's very adorable. I think the tone of the show, as it is, for the first arc here, absolutely fits it. But when we get to darker stuff, if that like stuttering, it's kind of going to be.
There's
very,
no way she keeps that stutter.
Yeah,
I fully anticipate her being dead inside one day.
Like,
we can only hope.
No,
We can only hope that
We
we
can
see the
only
light go
hope.
out in her eyes.
this isn't what I want.
I would love
We always
her to
support
stay
self-conscious characters, though.
I would love her to stay a very clumsy cinnamon roll for the entire show
Yeah.
and be very, safe and protected. But I know it's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
going to
'cause,
get fucked up.
Camille did that. Lelouch did that. Light Yagami did that. And people are soft forever. Sarcasm. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, if you guys didn't pick out sarcasm for everybody watching, we finally get into the one of my favorite characters, because he's just an absolute Chad, and that's Ghoul, right? We see his first battle. We see his first battle, and someone pointed out it's a mobile suit, like that he's facing that we don't see again. Do you guys think that's maybe tied to a specific company, or that's just Rich Boy's daddy bought him a mobile suit, or it's just another run-of-the-mill mobile suit?
They usually are tied to the
generic
company
as fuck, and the wiki says it's from Hammerfield, which is a red link. So probably one of the other groups that's just not important.
So one of the other corporations.
Meaningless generic.
Yeah, there's got to be people who produce mobile suits for war or mobile suits for work, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, and also it kind of looks like EVA Unit 0.
A little bit. It needs like the head fins,
It has head fins.
It does?
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, I believe you. I missed it.
That's the part that falls to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Everything needs a head. Even the fucking demi trainers have head fins for dueling.
Yeah.
I actually took a pretty big I had a pretty big issue on the second watch through with this fight, in that I just felt like from a legal standpoint, like this school seems like it almost had a huge lawsuit on its hand, because they just let this fight move over into an area that's already got people walking around in the open. It's got all these demi trainers walking around. It just seems like a huge liability issue. And then you have the suit almost crashes, could have killed people, legitimately.
Almost killed fucking Soletta. Yeah.
On top of that, I found it hilarious because it's like we should stop the fight, and there's an adult there, and then it's like, yeah, we need to stop the fight, and then basically it's like, no, it's up to a bunch of children in the committee, the dueling committee. They're the only ones who could stop the fight.
Honestly, I guess that just shows how fucking powerful the dueling committee are, because these kids are going to be the company heads.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
are the top. Well, they are the 1%.
Yep.
And
So-
those kids in the demi trainers. Well, it doesn't matter as much as Ghoul getting to fucking flex.
So that was
Well-
that was like a big power exchange and or like a reveal of like who's actually in charge here, right?
Though, speaking of Ghoul, I will say I did not like him in this episode. We all know he's going to grow into someone when we care about and love. But at the moment,
He's a total dick.
Spoilers.
He's a total dick.
yeah,
he's a
he
Chad.
feels like
He's
a
like your typical
one-note douchebag bully.
He's your
Fell in
like
love with him.
jock Chad.
Instantly, I knew. I love this man. He's the best.
Yeah,
My girlfriend said the same. She was instantly in love. She was like, "Oh, that pink hair."
One of the things too that I noticed between now and later is in these episodes, he the way that he's animated and drawn, it's very like sharp edges and very like chiseled, like very very masculine. I mean, in later episodes, like you can probably tell it's a lot more smoother. Everything's smoothed out and soft. So I'm a big fan of what I saw from Ghoul here, and just he absolutely manhandles that noob.
One comment: that suit, that holder suit, makes him look so fat. Like, yo,
Yeah.
when he first stepped off the cockpit, I'm like, dude, this guy is fat. What the heck?
Wait, the actual
His
mech or
pilot
the
suit.
or
No, the pilot.
No,
suit.
the pilot suit.
Like, he comes out and he
Yeah.
looks like he has a massive beer belly, and I'm like, this is the antagonist.
Yeah. The thing I like about the suit, the actual mech suit, is like it's big, it's bulky, and it's like that reddish, that pinkish red color. Like, hey, notice me, senpai. You know what I mean? Like, I'm right here. So I kind of like.
So hard to be a Char, and he isn't.
Yeah. And the going back to the thing where it's like where things are actually decided, it's funny because with the dueling corporation, like the dueling committee, it says that money, marriages, apologies are settled through duels designed by Delling. So it seems like this whole school and this whole way of doing everything is like corporate based. It's a corporate design, right? Because we find out that
it's almost like a feudal system.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, like that tracks. It very much is might makes right. And I feel that does factor into, say, Ghoul's worldview in the sense of so long as he's winning, he can't possibly be wrong.
Well, he's king. If you like in the monarch, it's like a monarch, it's like almost like a monarchy, right? He's top dog. He decides.
Well, I suppose, that's a decent comparison of between him and Delling, and they're both kings of their little kingdoms.
One
kingdom in Delling's case.
Yeah.
One of the things I found interesting, I don't know if you guys think. Do you guys think Delling in this episode actually cares about his daughter?
It does not seem like it, and it's going to seem like he doesn't give a shit for a while.
Yeah, I think given the context of just this episode, it doesn't seem to be so.
Just like how, given the context of this episode, you could be forgiven for thinking Ghoul is going to be a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
No,
Actually,
that's like staple character design right there.
I think that Delling and his daughter tend to will have now shown affection in really similar ways, in the sense that they're not really showing affection. They're focused. They're driven people, which is probably why they you butt heads with each other. And
she wants to straight up leave to Earth.
Well, yeah, exactly, and she's very driven about it. But
it's also pretty clear Miriam has no idea what the fuck she's going to do if she ever gets there.
She just wants to get away from her father.
She wants to get away.
Exactly. She doesn't want to get away from anything else but this piece of shit.
Yeah, no, she gets started. What then? Working at Wendy's?
We should find out when she gets
Actually,
there.
Wendy dies in the first episode.
Whoa, boom.
Spoilers!
I'd say the relationship is very cold,
Mhm.
but once you kind of get into the later episodes, it's very obvious why it is that way.
One of the next scenes that I found was is actually interesting. Was when they're Miorne and Soletta, they're at the tomato, the greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the tomatoes, and Miorne says, not all tomatoes taste good. And as soon as she says that, they start talking about like their mothers. And I thought that was like, I picked up as something very like interesting, because it seems that Miorne really loved her mother, and was like, she mentions it briefly, and but not all tomatoes taste good. So I was like, Soletta loves her mother, but who, you know what I mean? Like that is she really a good tomato? So I thought that was
Prospera is just a whole bag of worms. We could probably have a lengthy discussion on whether she's morally ambiguous.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk
about her.
We talked about earlier Soletta's upbringing. I forget who mentioned it.
I did.
Thank you. And you pointed out that she was like a little neat, living in her Gundam and watching anime and manga, and like very independently, probably raising herself, because her mother is another very driven, focused person. We meet later, was working on some things, obviously.
Yeah.
So she actually calls that out. Prospera missed 4 birthdays in a row.
Whoa, hold on.
Who's Prospera?
Who's that? We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Listen, she was called by name in the short story.
But I just thought that was like a little interesting tidbit that I've caught up, that I found. Then we come to another interesting subplot where they just kind of just like throw it in, and you're like, what the hell? The subplot where Ghoul's dad wants to assassinate Delling. Why is this?
Because Delling dies, Ghoul is currently king, and so Ghoul gets to move. His son gets to move up specifically through the Delling family through Miorine.
I think he's assuming that if Delling dies, then
he instantly becomes leader of the company because his son is currently the holder.
Yeah, Miorine.
I think he's just assuming that Delling's proclamations of whoever's the holder when the time comes for marriage is the one that gets to bed my daughter. Like, just assume that ends, but I can also see this just playing out like, oh, Miorine's in charge now, and she just says,
no. I think the other thing too is, isn't his company like basically the top, like one of the top, like the top?
It's one of the three.
It's one of the three tops.
We don't know which, if any, are the top.
But it seems like Delling's company is right now.
Yeah, his is the one that does all, like, is responsible for Delling's security. And like, his is responsible for like a lot of the mobile suit stuff later on. So I think he sees this opportunity to become like move from number 2 to number 1 kind of thing, as for his own self as well.
Well, if Delling gets assassinated, and I guess maybe it is kind of like that very like medieval hierarchy where, well, if it's Miorne and if it's Ghoul and Delling's dead, like he actually has to be the head because he's male. So wouldn't it's basically Jitrick takes over?
It's very business driven and corporate driven, and the way that businesses, when they are now corporations, they function autonomously, but they're also driven by boards.
Okay.
And boards can either be hosted by people who are chosen by the people that own shares in the company, or by the people themselves who have shares. If Delling created a corporation, there's no way he doesn't have the majority share, whether it be probably like 35%, to like rule the company. And his daughter would probably be his only inheritor, would probably be the one that gets all of his shares when he dies. That's why the whole school is dueling to marry her. The number 1 duelist gets to marry into that family, and that family is run by a business, gets to marry their business into that family, therefore making their business more profitable. It's all profit driven, and that's how businesses work. So just by assassinating, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Ask your question.
No, I was going to ask. So it's basically like they would assimilate into Delling's
Pretty much, they would their companies would merge, or the one company could. It's called, I believe it's called lateral growth or like horizontal growth, where whenever the Delling lateral growth. Thank you. Whenever the Delling company needs anything to like whether to buy or to sell or to like produce or manufacture, Ghoul's father's company gets to be a part of that, and they just make so much fucking money. They instantly become the number 2, or even when they marry and they merge, they become number 2. That's why Mayorine doesn't trust anybody, because she doesn't have any autonomy herself. She's just shares to people.
Okay, so I'd argue she's not even just shares. At this point, she's a trophy. But okay,
yeah,
so
you're right. She's the trophy.
Political marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the metaphor that all these companies are basically just kingdoms vying for control. Well, or rather, nobles vying for control just became really clear. Because this is basically just a medieval monarchy with a fuck ton of lords.
I mean, the metaphor is that right now, in our age, corporations are the things that we think are that we're going to be unable to take down, like kings were in the past.
You know, they're the ones running the show, calling the shots.
It is like it is like very business. It is business oriented, but then if you think about it too, it's like all of space is that way, so you can kind of see it as medieval as well, right? Who owns the most? Who owns the richest? Who's the biggest? They are like basically, even in the next episode, you hear Delling, or the third episode, say, I am king. I am the law,
they're
basically.
Wearing suits of armor.
Yeah. It's nuts. So because it doesn't seem like the Spacians have like a government, really. They don't really have like a prime minister.
No,
it's owned by the companies. Yeah. So
if there is any government, the governments are being run by the corporation.
Yeah, exactly.
If there even is a government anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna have to look for that.
Moving on, we finally see Soletta. Well, it's not really Soletta, right? It ends up being Miorne hopping into the Gundam. And the one thing I thought was the one thing I thought was interesting was I can't remember, was it Cecilia or maybe Ellen or whatever his name is,
the blue girl?
No, I can't remember who it was, but someone mentioned that, oh wow, these are the colors of old France. Oh, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
And I don't know if that means like France is gone.
Some of the Earth House students.
Sorry?
Wasn't that some of the Earth House students watching it on their little screens? Wasn't that them that kind of mentioning that?
It would make sense that it would be the Earth House too.
Maybe you're right. I'd have to pull up.
I know exactly what scene you're talking about too. Yeah. And I never caught that the first watch through. I only caught it on the second watch through.
So I thought that was like interesting. Like, is there like a no? There's no more France anymore. Like
I mean, I'm assuming there's not really countries anymore on Earth. Given again, it's kind of a shithole and like
war torn.
Yeah, I know the lines don't seem to be between countries. They seem to be between companies. And Earthians.
It's literally, like they say, it's Earthians and Spacians. They don't really say like, oh, we're going to like.
And the Spacians are further divided.
Yeah. But I thought that was it. So anyways, we have like she's piloting it, and the one thing that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe you guys can explain it better, was when she's piloting the aerial and she uses the beam rifle, she has a massive like kickback, and like Ariel tumbles back and stuff. Like, I don't understand that, because like if we think about beams have no real like mass behind it, so I'm just like really curious of like why do you think she had this like?
I have a few theories. Okay,
no idea how to pilot a mobile suit.
Yeah, no. First off, she has no idea how to pilot a mobile suit. She doesn't know how to brace herself for shots. And something that crops up in the UC a lot, and also Wing, is that beams have adjustable outputs, and she presumably fired that thing full blast.
Okay.
And like, as for beams not having kickback, Well, it's a bit of a flash forward, but we see a mobile suit with thrusters specifically designed to counterbalance the big-ass gun it's firing.
Okay. Fair enough. For me, my brain was like, it's energy. It's energy. So my mind's like, why is there a kickback? I don't know.
I mean, well, the unicorn had kickback on its beam magnum.
Yeah, they're not lightsabers.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay. That's just my mind probably just plain.
Like, no, the beams having kickback is nothing new in Gundam.
Yeah, I always had it as kind of like think of like how a thruster works, but just not with combustion kind of thing. Like there's going to be like a force applied there.
Yeah. So
like,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's very clear that Nirine does not know how to pilot for shit, which probably explains why she didn't try this before. It's just she's pushed to the fucking limit. Here's a shiny new mobile suit from which she stole off some
Our girl is driven.
Yeah,
and then Soletta proved that I could get behind her as a protagonist.
Well, that was so cool.
Then Soletta is like, "Bitch, this is my Gundam. She said, this is my mobile suit. I have to be very specific. This is my mobile suit."
Because to her, it's family.
Yeah, family.
It's not even. This is my mobile suit. This is. Bitch, you kidnapped my sister.
Get out of my friend.
Yeah.
You stole my phone. You kidnapped my sister, and now you're going to get her hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we then see her pilot it, and then we go into the area where she becomes absolutely OP as fuck because she does the thing that makes people OP, and those are those bits, right? The funnels, the bits.
Yeah, though it doesn't help that Ghoul was a dumbass. Whiffed like.
I don't think he's a dumbass.
Listen, it was a very poor showing this episode.
I think because he went full cockiness.
He whiffed 10 shots, got his beam blocked once, immediately tossed the gun away instead of holding on to it.
He's like,
he's been proven to be a better fighter.
Well, he probably
we'll talk about this episode specifically, but you're right. We did see him throw away his gun after missing 10 shots of Ariel just kind of standing or like kneeling still. So that was just kind of me question of like, what had me question was like, if he's this good, what was his record, like 27-0? What was it?
Hundreds of 0, isn't it?
No, I thought it was like 13 or 20, whatever it was. But he was undefeated. So my thing is,
he's supposed to be the strongest.
Was he facing like bad mobile suits and pilots on purpose that was like convoluted by his father or other people in power to get his ranking up high? Or is he actually just a bad pilot?
No, I think he's a great pilot, and I think that he watched someone that he doesn't respect or see as a person get into a mobile suit and then just be like, all right, fuck, I got this. And then he watches a complete stranger get into another mobile suit, sees them argue, isn't taking this fight seriously at all because he thinks he's going to crush it, and then just win and keep going with his life. It's his hubris.
Oh, okay, so that's a good point. That's a good point.
We're deliberately missed as just like, hey, hurry the fuck up.
I mean, he's not trying to hurt the thing he's trying to bet,
So I have a theory on that too. So if this is a complete shot in the dark to defend Ghoul on this. This is my defense of him, and only defense of him in episode 1 is he sees the beam just disperse on the shield like that, like with no sign of making a hit, and he immediately realizes how useless the beam weapon is, and he's just going to go in for the melee.
And he almost prefers it too. Like you see like the grin, like as soon as he lets go of like that beam rifle, like he's excited to like go hand to hand combat. Like that's his
machismo.
Yeah.
La machismo.
The chadism kicks in,
I'll admit, I think that's kind of dumb. Give me a beam shotgun any day of the week.
Oh, dude, what?
Beam shotguns.
What, have we not seen that?
I don't think we have.
Not yet.
Holy shit.
Nope.
A sawed-off beam shotgun? Dude.
So obviously we see Ghoul get absolutely wrecked by the bits. Agree that Ariel is OP with bits, right? Agree?
Yeah, of course.
It's OP, but only because you're not expecting it to have to maneuver around like, what was it, 13 shots at once?
Yeah, from any direction.
especially since none of the bits have a particularly apparent beam emitter on them. Like, you look at the model kit and you think, oh, they just didn't sculpt it. And then you look at the show and realize, no, they really don't have any evident beam emitter.
It's just imagination beams.
Well, same goes for like the way that the shields pop up on the mobile suit.
Yeah,
it kind of like materializes like osmosis, like through the metal.
It's almost like an AT field from Ava, really.
I'd say
Exactly,
like,
like an AT
field from some other UC stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we find out after the next episode we're about to talk about that there's a weakness to it, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So after Ghoul gets absolutely crushed, Soletta becomes kind of like the holder and the fiance of Mjorne. Okay, so after this, what do you guys think is in this episode? Is this like a gay thing? Is this like a futa? What is it? Just a political?
I'm confused. You just said
futa.
Nah,
what the dicks have to do with this?
Bro, put that shit away.
We're putting it away. Is it just? Is it political? Is she actually gay? Are there feelings?
I feel like these are two very different categories.
I haven't.
I think we're talking about the one thing. How about the other thing?
Let's just talk. Okay, is it strictly political, or are there feelings between Mjorne and Soletta?
Well, it starts off as political, but
I'd say that
feelings like develop.
I agree. I think it's.
I'd say that there's feelings, and Miriam feels she can open up to Soletta, mostly just because it's very clear Soletta had no idea what the hell she was getting into, and thus was actually here to just try and help someone she met, rather than realizing,
we don't know exactly. We don't know that the winner of this fight gets to marry somebody.
Yeah.
And again, marriage in at least in this environment is a tool for not political growth but economic growth.
Right.
But if marriage it can be done between anybody for economic growth, one may also have to assume that in the rest of at least this culture of the corporations, that being in a same-sex marriage isn't there's no homophobia there.
Yeah,
there
seems like it's
society that is anti that. Soletta does mention something about Mars and it being slightly different there because it's not normal for her.
Mercury.
Sorry, thank you. Mercury. Sorry.
Soletta never really. No one explained the birds and the bees to her, and she's just going off anime that presumably were only just like.
Look, if she's watched anime, she's got to have seen pretty much everything. Let's face it here.
Well, maybe she wasn't watching the right anime.
The first anime I ever watched was a Yuri, and I didn't know.
Well, there you go.
I mean, the first one I watched was Pokemon, but you do you.
All right.
I watched Strawberry Panic.
Let's chat is going on. Was that a Fuda? Okay, anyways, let's move
on
to the next episode.
Why did you bring that up?
I don't know. Let's move on to the next episode.
Why did you bring that up?
No, it's because I saw tweets about it when the episode first happened, and I was like,
I know what you mean.
And I was like, it kind of went crazy, so I just lightheartedly brought it up, but we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about it.
Before slash fic.
Before on a more serious note, before we move on, there's a lot of subtext in the visual imagery that does borrow from Utena, Revolutionary Girl, which is famously a queer anime. And I wouldn't call it Yuri explicitly because it's basically a shonen anime. That features female characters. But it is queer, and the whole tomato scene, and tomatoes often in anime and like gardens and are show love that flourish like that. And I think what's the Gundam anime with all the pink flowers when people like interact with each other when they're like in love with each is it Wing? Is it Wing where they like? Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Pink flower. Oh, is that F91? The roses and stuff.
Yeah, I think the roses and stuff, but specifically just like the environment that surrounds them when they are with each other. Heavily implies that it could be just queer baiting. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
But it does imply that there is like there's a subtext there that could move forward into something else. I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Because the aftermath was like there was a lot of queer stuff going on, and so just why I wanted your opinion on it. Like, what was going on? What you guys thought about that?
Someone just needs to explain to Soletta what gay means.
Okay.
So the rest is between her and Mio.
There you go. So we go on to now episode 2. And it's very interesting thing we learn here. We actually learn officially in this episode, Soletta is 17 years old. It's actually mentioned. So very she doesn't act really 17 in my opinion, but it's just another.
Well, I think it's just because of like her stunted,
Listen,
like
she's not 17.
Her stunted like, upgrowth. Yeah.
Has it been? Well, she was 4. Has it been 13 years since the pilot?
We don't know at this point.
Listen, if she's not 17, then that puts her relationship
do you mean like
with Mio
we don't
in a
know
really
in the show,
light.
or we don't know in general? Because yes, in the show we have no idea.
We don't know on episode 2. We have no idea when the prologue was. All we know for a fact is that in the prologue, Eerie was 4 years old, and we're assuming Soletta is Eerie. But in episode 2, Soletta, it states Soletta is 17 years old. So now we're assuming the prologue was 13 years ago, right? That's kind of safe to assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Eva theory.
So so it starts off basically kind of with almost like an inquisition, right? Like they had the fight, and we're seeing all the board
come down.
Yeah, we're seeing all the board members, right? And they're like, "Is she a witch? You know, is that a Gundam?" You know, they basically take her like under house arrest, right? Like they just kind of
tried to interrogate her. Like, are you a member of this group we slaughtered 20 years ago? And Soletta has no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, or we're led to we are led to believe she has no idea, right? It looks like she doesn't have any idea, right? Like she's. Like, are you like, you know, is this Gundam? Like, are you a witch? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? She's either a good actress or she's
this entire time. We don't even know if her name's Soletta.
Wait, what?
Like, if you're just gonna say we're led to believe in everything, then how do we know the Gundam's real name is Ariel?
Okay, well,
we're only told that.
Fine. We're told that. But basically, they have this.
To take things at face value at the moment.
We fine. We'll take things at face value. We come to a scene. Obviously, after this is basically Ghoul's brother and his lackeys are told to fix Miorene's like tomato greenhouse, and I love this scene because when they tell her that, you know, Soletta's being basically under arrest and they're gonna trash her Gundam because she's a witch and all that stuff, she like immediately reacts and she gives like, you know, the socket wrench to one of them, and it's like, you need to fix this right now. And then she looks back, and that's that famous line, "If you touch my tomatoes, I'll kill you." It's like, I don't know, like Gundam Wing or something like that, which I thought was
I think it's hilarious that it with the pre-context of us saying that maybe the whole tomato thing is supposed to be Yuri. The idea that she's not just like, if you touch my tomatoes in the greenhouse, I'll kill you, but also like, if you touch my Soletta, I'll kill you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because who was it? Was it the fake comet? You were telling us about the tomatoes in anime and stuff like that. Who was it?
I guess like fruits basket.
Yeah.
But also just like fruits in general are like a sweets or a thing, and gardening and growing and nurturing love. Like it's just it's like metaphors in literature that happen often. Nothing too deep yet that I've noticed. But also very good point. Don't touch my tomato. And then literally. Soletta is this bright red thing, and a metaphor for maybe the only thing that Miorine could care about.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that she can nurture that is like almost like moldable. Like she has Miorine has complete control over her garden. Maybe the only thing she has control over in her life at the moment.
Yeah.
And then Soletta is this blank slate that seems to be just this innocent, sweet thing going to this school for herself to learn, and for whatever ulterior motives her mother sent her there for.
Okay, cool.
Just rambling.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because it kind of. I think you're right. It kind of ties into like a little metaphor, because we obviously she wouldn't react that way if she wasn't serious about protecting Soletta in some sense. Whether she sees Soletta as like a tool for her to not have to marry Ghoul, or as someone that she genuinely likes as a person.
I don't think she likes her yet.
Okay.
No. It's like she very much sees her as a tool. She's still going to try to fuck off to Earth.
Right.
Yeah. Marina is still very much acting like her father.
There's so we start to learn more after this. We learn a bit more about the company that Soletta kind of represents, and it's the Shinsei Development Corporation. And interestingly, that was developed 33 years ago, and it has a ranking of D, which is like pretty much the bottom. It's ranked, I believe, 151, which I actually think that's like the bottom of like the last place of the company that will actually accept you. But since they're actually still with like making profits and stuff for the company, they're allowed to still be in this huge corporation as a whole. I found it interesting because it says in the little pad that it shows us is that she has 157 companies under her. She's got over 300 clients and over 200 yearly patents. So I found that, really interesting.
A lot.
I found that like super interesting. So I wonder, like, there's no way that, she survived the prologue on her own and didn't have.
So I've actually come up with a theory for this because I thought the same thing.
Let's hear it.
And the place that is destroyed in the prologue is supposed to be like a research facility, but we never are actually told that Venatus proper is actually destroyed. We just get their base. Dad is talking.
The research facility, right?
Yeah, they destroy a research facility with the Ilfrites and with what probably eventually becomes the Ariel, but we're not told that HQ got destroyed or they killed everybody connected to the project. It's just like they destroy the research facility and that's it, and ban Gundam development.
Calling back to the prologue too, is we never actually see the doc get killed either. It's a shot that you hear off screen. We
never see any of the Lifriths will be properly destroyed. We just see stabs to the cockpit.
I have some theories with the Doctor, which we can't talk about till we're at the end of the stuff.
Fun fact: the dub for the prologue calls it an Ilfrith.
Yes, Ilfrith. Yeah.
Yes, Ilfrith.
Ilfrith. So I thought that was interesting because that leads me to believe that like kind of like the same theory, like that was maybe one research facility and maybe not even the main one. Maybe it was just like a testing ground to like sending data back somewhere else that is much bigger.
Like most, if not all, of their big researchers were centralized there.
Yeah,
and we see that facility go down, but we also have, just like we have no reason to believe that was their only facility, we have no reason to believe that Delling didn't send squads to the other facilities.
I feel like they would have like maybe showed something about that. I don't know. I feel like there would have been something mentioned that it wasn't just an attack on this facility, but all facilities or all the entire company.
Right now, the story isn't about that.
Right.
Yeah, we got that prologue in order to introduce us to the world, but it's very much focusing on relationships more so than it is, at least for the first 3 episodes for sure.
Yeah.
Before we get into her interactions with the student council and all the other new characters.
Another thing that it did mention was that the company supports welfare engineering throughout the history of that company. So again, the welfare of engineering, that can mean basically anything, right? So I found that could be like well, we kind of actually find out what that is a bit later, but yeah, so I thought that was like, you can be basically put as anything, and you can kind of make an excuse to say anything.
My master
right?
grade. Let's go.
Congrats. After that, we meet a well-beloved character by many. We meet Choo Choo. And
yeah,
you know,
That's my queen there.
Well, how does she get her hair the way it is? Is it fake? Is it legit? Like, are those add-ons?
That's anime.
Like
That's anime.
No, there are people with hair about that puffy in real life.
Yes, it's a lot of work.
She
It's a lot
makes
actually.
it seem
Like-
so easy.
She's used to it.
That's just it. She has that kind of hair texture.
Yeah,
She's the one.
she's the one.
It's the one.
But the reason why I bring it up, it's like the
Chat says Choo Choo stores her hatred in her hair.
Choo Choo boxing mode activate.
Bang!
the cool, well, we get more of like kind of in depth into the story of like the kind of like what's going on is like we see the actual tension between the Spacians and the Earthians, right? It's called like basically like the racist against each other, right? There's now like such a divide that they call each other, you know, Spacians and Earthians, but there's a bit of like oomph at the end of it, like it's actually an insult, right? So I thought that was interesting. We find a bit more about like what's going on. After that, we see a scene with Mjolnir, and she finds out that her dad tells her that she's no longer going to be enrolled in the school, and she's going to be basically her dad's going to choose a suitor for her, and that's got to be heartbreaking, right?
You know, that is her breaking point, and I feel like it's her breaking point. Well, like Deli's doing this purely because, a Gundam got into the school. A Gundam not only got into the school, but won the right to marry you. I need to fix this.
The whole conflict is going to come back up, and he isn't on the upside of that.
But the thing too is like we also see like it almost is like, you know, Mjolnir is always being controlled by her father, right? She's got that, she doesn't have that freedom that she wants. So again, just another reason to leave, right? Like you're always controlling me, you know, always making my decisions for me. Mom used to not be that way, and she's done. She wants to leave. So she tries to kind of arrange that in this scene with that lady. What I found interesting too was the lady mentioned that there's a collaborator or collaborators on the spaceport, and that's how they're able to go in and out. So there's kind of like, you know, there's kind of like some espionage kind of stuff going on. You know, there's tensions between space and Earth, and we also know like it's actually like legit. Like there's like spies, there's collaborators, there's something serious going on. You know, so
I think this is one of the best subtle pieces of world building in the show, because it's like if you don't pay attention to it, it'll slip by you. But if you're paying attention, you'll immediately be like, okay, there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, Transformers more than meets the eye, right? Is that right?
That's how that works.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things I heard about the school is it's both. It is meant to contrast with the prologue. It is meant to be this safe little mini kingdom for the nobles, for the next generation to play around with, insulated from the realities of the world. And that a major point in the series is going to be their little bubble clashing with the greater reality of the world.
I've actually had a similar thought, but while it's like that for the characters, the first few episodes are also supposed to be that little bubble for the viewer.
Yeah.
Like as well goes, welcome to Gundam.
It's like, this is a slice of life anime. I love it. Nothing can go
Very
wrong here.
Everybody dies.
It's
And
specifically
it
why I
almost makes you
mentioned,
forget you just watched the prologue.
it's specifically
Yes.
why I mentioned that these first 12 episodes feel like the first episode of Gundam, because in the first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, these children are introduced to the harsh realities of war. And again, like they're just giving us more time to live in this bubble, so it hurts that much more.
Yeah.
It feels like great writing.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, Dylan actually hears about Murne's, escape to Earth, but he doesn't give a flying fuck, and is like, yeah. Tell me more about the Gundam. Like, I don't give a shit about my daughter and her escape attempt again. Yeah. Like, let's, more important matters is dealing with the Gundam. So
I have
thought,
taught men on finding her. Who? Smash cut to Delmon on holding a picture of Mirin.
yeah. So it's just like, again, it's my daughter. Well, if she goes to Earth, I'll just simply find her. You know what I mean? Like, he's just got that unlimited
It wouldn't
power.
be hard.
What?
It wouldn't be hard to find a white-haired girl at her size because it's space. It would have to register that she came to the planet, and because he's in charge of what seems to be the biggest corporation in space and on Earth, finding white-haired girl that looks like this and is calling herself Mjorne would be the easiest thing.
If it's so easy, then why can't I find one in real life?
Actually, given, let's be real here, Mirin's attitude wouldn't.
Yeah,
she
with her
used-
attitude, she'd piss off
Why
everybody.
can't I
she
find
meets.
one in real
Yeah, I know. Like, no one's going to cover for her the moment. Well, there's going to be a fist fight over who gets to turn her in.
Yeah, especially with that, like, how much money you offering, right? It's like, what do you want? Like, name your price, basically.
Yeah, no, like, he is not concerned about Mirin because he can always drag her back.
Yeah. That's
And hey,
just
maybe
gonna...
if she sees how much of a shithole Earth is, she'll stop
They'll
running
stop
away.
running away.
If anything, she'd probably become more motivated to use the power that she has inside of the system to make the situation better. Because she feels very morally good. And I think that's revealed
She
slowly
wants
as
to
we watch the
believe
show.
that she's the good person here.
Skill-based matchmaking.
People do.
Hey, just
People
to
do.
cut in real quick,
Yep.
I do unfortunately have to get going. I actually have a day job after work.
Yeah,
so
no
I have to
problem.
get to that. So
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Dear
for
Wait,
Round
you're not
Dicey.
getting paid for this?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately,
We are paid in exposure.
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Thank you guys
Thanks,
so much for
thanks. I
having me,
say I knew about this, so yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah.
though.
Thank
Yeah,
you, man. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to meet everyone here. This was a
you.
lot of fun, and I look forward to listening to the rest of it on my ride to work.
All right. See ya.
All right, see you
Thanks.
guys.
So after like all that, we actually get a little more insight about Ghoul's relationship with his father, because we get that that famous Amuro slap, from the dad, and
That's so good.
Yep.
I felt that in this episode that was so deserving, in this term of like, you're such a dick, you're such an asshole. You treat people like shit, and I'm glad your dad slapped you, only to then realize, wait, your dad is the same exact way. And this is kind of like feeding into...
His dad sees Ghoul as a tool. It is, this will just ensure that we control the bigger share. Or, I only care about you in the sense of you're winning.
Yeah. And if you don't win, you're basically not my son. You're
only
worthless
lost, to me. You made the company look bad while you lost.
Yeah.
I think
Something I think... Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I think the fact that the parent and a child kind of relationships, especially like here and then later in the show, are so pronounced.
Yes.
Is so interesting.
Yeah.
Especially with where Guel goes.
Yeah. But it makes
Weird
sense
side
for his
note,
character.
I really like that character Bob that's introduced later.
Whoa, we don't talk about Bob yet. We don't talk about Bob yet, okay?
It's completely
Bob's
unrelated.
later.
Completely
Bob's
unrelated.
later.
I don't know.
Listen.
But
Don't
I
talk
thought
about Quattro when discussing Gundam. We don't talk about Bob when discussing the first.
Quatudo Vagina?
So I know that actually reminds me of the best joke I saw in a long time.
Fourth vagina, yeah.
Yep.
That's real. That's actually because Bandai didn't care what they named the mobile suits. They just wanted them to look cool because pictures sells better than names. So as like a fuck you, Tomino and the creators just started naming things weird like the Zagak, etc. Like they're not aesthetically pleasing names.
The Rick
I'd
Dias?
still argue that the lack of aesthetically pleasing has kind of become an appeal on its own.
Yes.
Like, I'm here for the fucking Zamel.
Oh god.
I'm here for the Zoc.
Okay.
I'm in for the big Zam.
Okay, so I found like, you know, getting back on track, just I just found like, you know, is I can understand, I'm starting to see why he's kind of a jerk, you know, like if that's how his father you know, kind of treated him, then I figure, yeah, I could see why, you know, Ghoul's the way he is right now and why he's kind of like a dick to everyone and why he needs to have this really like masculine approach. And yeah, so like I kind of understand why he's that kind of jockey jerk, you know, so.
I would say that the corporate world breeds people to be like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then we after this we kind of like there's a little clip, there's like a little thing where Prospera wants to have this mysterious meeting with his father, so we'll get to that later. But the next clip is like basically you know, Elan introducing himself to Soletta, right, where she's locked up. She's, you know, looks very sad and hungry and
Distraught.
distraught. Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Actually, I'd say disheveled.
disheveled. Yeah, she looks
like.
depressed. She looks depressed.
She doesn't know
everything
what's
she
going on.
wanted
She doesn't know what she's
was
done
falling
wrong.
apart. Yeah.
Does
She had so high hopes just yesterday.
I know? He's like, I'm in
She
school.
was ready for her big high school adventure, making friends, going
Yeah.
on dates, calling people nicknames.
Yeah.
Prison bitch.
And now
You're
she's
going
in
to
jail.
prison.
Well, now she's in jail, and they're saying they're going to kill her sister.
Do you guys? Yeah, true. Do you guys when Elan says that he wants to know more about her, what do you think he actually means?
How do you pilot Gundam?
Yeah, are we allowed to reference
Yeah.
future episodes, or should we stray away?
No,
from that?
it's what you think, because we know if like when he saw he saw Ariel the first time, like he was so enamored in his book, and then he closed it, and he's like, "Wait, a Gundam?"
Well, he clocked her instantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Gundam.
So you think
definitely
he's
not-
more interested in what she can do than rather
Yeah,
than who she
no.
is.
100%,
He's
yeah,
getting
he doesn't
close to
care.
her because he wants to. Well, because he wants to get with her sister.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Good
Yeah,
point.
that's good.
That's
I
a
like
joke.
that.
Here is definitely the
That's a
Gundam.
joke
Damn.
you only understand if you read the light novel.
Damn, dude.
No,
that's
even
good.
even Soletta just calls Ariel
Yeah,
in the
she does call
show.
Ariel her sister.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's damn, that was good. Props to
But yeah,
that.
no, I think he's only trying to get close to get at the Ariel, and it's not at that point. It's definitely not about Soletta.
Right.
No, he does not give a shit about the meat person.
It's funny because like when we're talking about this like the past couple episodes here, it's
Like we didn't
almost
all
like an
watch the
ongoing
show.
theme of like people are just interested in other people because they want to use them, like they're tools, right? So I see that's like a really big theme going on, and we kind of see where that leads us down the road. But so we actually, after this, we get to the actual, you know, the Inquisition, you know, the inquiry, and we see Prospera there in front of like all the company heads and stuff like that. And Delling basically straight up, just like, you know, doesn't beat around the bush. He's like, yo, listen, yo, Prospera, look, are you a witch? You know, do you have ties to Vandus? You know, is that a Gundam? And obviously Prospera is like, no, it's Ariel's not a Gundam. It's get ready for this. It's drone technology. It's
Folks,
drone
I'll be right back. I have
technology.
to go check on a kitty
Shit
cat.
to deliver packages.
Yeah. So
I actually have a very interesting point about this whole meeting.
Yep.
The fact that it happens at all means that there's more going on than we know at the moment. Because from what we know about Delling, if he he like really wanted to get rid of the Ariel and Soletta, he would have just done so. He wouldn't have called a meeting. He would have just been like, "Okay, you're gone."
Because that's still.
Well, let alone in person. Like he's there himself.
He shows up.
He has accountability. He used to pretend that anyone else has a say in how he runs anything.
Well, but he didn't care about that when he tried to get rid of the Ilfrites. So why would he care about it now?
That was under the table. He was making sure no one could possibly object to his takeover. But now everyone's eyes are on him, and he feels that he has the power to do this in a way that doesn't make him look like he's going to go behind everyone's back.
I think there's a point to that where it's like it's almost like this is a show or a further show of his power and control. We're like, I'm gonna gather everyone, all like just a reminder of all like the top companies that this is my Inquisition. This is how I'm gonna handle it. You're all still just there to watch the show. Like you're just there. Right. This is how I'm doing it and how I'm in control. So I think that's kind of like another part of it, too. But I found it interesting because she talks about that it's not the gun format. It's actually drone technology, which, Medic, we kind of brought up before. And I think the fake red comment, too, was about like dolls and
Old War.
Yeah, about the old war and stuff. So going back to like how she's claiming it's drone tech, I thought that was kind of really interesting. And she basically argues that, well, there's no data flux, so it can't be a Gundam because there's no permit score, right? So everything's in stabilized form, and it can't be that. And then the other argument is like, well, if you can't argue that it's white, does that mean it's black, kind of thing, right? Was kind of a counter argument to that by was it the Zanelli family? I think
it's an interesting showing of the kind of justice system they're trying to put in, because technically if you're being accused but they can't accuse you that whatever they're accusing you for it's true, at least in Europe, and so you're in the right. If they can't prove you're in the wrong, you win. And here it's very much like, no, if you can't prove it's not a Gundam, it's a Gundam.
The interesting thing too is like Prospera's demeanor, right? She doesn't look terrified. She doesn't look scared or like, oh my God, this is Delling, this is like the head of everything. She seems like almost like a bit chipper, which kind of like freaks me out a little bit. Like she just
I feel like Prospera knows that everyone's been itching 13 years later to finally attempt to get into the Gundam business.
Yeah.
Because it'll be so profitable. And now that it's been revealed that it's at the school, it's like pulled the trigger, which is like eventually why Elan is interested, because his business was already doing it. They were just being secretive about it. And once it pushes out into the light, the rest of the series unfolds.
I feel like
it's basically the shackles are off, and now everybody's like, all right, we're making Gundams now.
Well, and not just
it's an arms race.
Like in the short immediate term, she knows she has Vim on her side here. And once he gives his support, others will start piling on behind him. And she knows she's going to get his support because she has him by the short hairs.
For people who don't know, Vim is Ghoul's father.
Yeah, no, the name doesn't come up much.
Yeah, it does
not.
For
people who don't know, I would also like Prospera to have me by my hair.
The what was I going to say too is she also mentions like the funny, like the crazy thing is she's like, she starts like undressing and then she's like, she grabs her arm, like takes it out and like throws it at was it at Vim? Throws it at Vim, right? And says like, basically this was caused by, the dangers of being like in Mercury or on
Which
Mercury.
Is obviously bullshit. And we know whose arm that is.
Yeah. And it's and the only thing that helped was like the drone technology, because, and I found this interesting because I didn't realize this. She says the drone tech will help mine for permit. So is permit a resource?
Permit appears to be, it's a resource, but it's not clear how that ties into the mention of permit scores beyond it's obviously used in the construction of gun technology and probably mobile suits in general, given how desired it is.
Yeah, but maybe it's those like like that chess piece of Ariel where it like glows up.
I was just
I'm looking it up on the wiki.
Like I'm wondering if that's like that permit like material. Maybe it's a material. I'm assuming because if they're mining it,
okay, so
it's some metal.
We have a description from the official site.
Yeah,
an element discovered in mineral deposits distributed unevenly throughout the solar system. One of permit's properties is that information is shared between individual pieces. Okay, interesting. And various technologies have been developed by mixing permit with other materials or propellant for control purposes. Body function augmentation technologies in which permit is infused into the human body are considered a basis for advancement into space. Okay, so it's basically like remote control.
The entire Gundam thing is
Wait,
built,
so then,
then
even in the prologue when they're talking about like those artificial, like when you see like the artificial limbs and all that stuff, that's all permit material. That's not like you're strapping your leg with a random metal. Sorry, what?
So the permit score is the level at which you are syncing with the permit.
Yeah. So how many layers? So because I think Medic, you said like there's different like links between the permits or whatever. There's like how many? What did you say? There was.
It's like 33
pieces share the individual pieces of the permit share. Oh, there's a glossary on the website.
Okay. I thought you said like the individual pieces, so I wonder, like, in order to connect, so like that's why there's layers.
But you basically have a material that has an automatic wireless link to other pieces of said material.
Right, so like it's a connection. So like so that's why. So now it makes a bit more sense why there's layers, and you have to get through all the layers because they're individual. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, but I find
So that's how the fuck we know about that mobile suit Ghoul was trashing the first episode. It's in the glossary.
Well, there you go.
Ku. It does not mention the character's name, but it gives the head height and weight. So I guess this is where they're just putting all the unimportant mobile suits, but like, there's stuff in you're like
the permit's pretty important.
That's the grunts part of the podcast.
Yeah. I thought so. Yeah. So, anyways, going back to the permit, that again, I didn't even realize what that was until kind of like looking into it more and finding out that's actually a resource. So that was interesting on my second watch through. And obviously Prospera is like, she asked to keep the development of the Ariel for the reason to make it safer for other people, right? So if we can keep developing it, we can get more information on how to develop technology that's similar to drones to make people safer. And then of course we get the Delling meme. What's the Delling meme, people?
No, it's a Gundam.
There you go. That thing is a Gundam. So we get that, and what's the you guys know what the logic behind that answer is?
It's because I say so. I'll know it when I see it.
It's the fucking I am king.
Wow.
I said so. So this is when Mjolnir basically storms into the Inquiry, which is really interesting because that's like another power. It's basically a power show, right? Like you're going into a secret
glossing over one important fact.
Tell me
what.
Suletta can bright slap people from long range. Not Suletta, Prospera.
Oh my god! True. She's got the range.
I never made the connection. Oh no.
And because of how permit works, she probably still has control over the damn arm.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's gonna start like moving on its own, like the Thing from Addams Family, walking around.
She leaves it somewhere on purpose and then like kills somebody with it by strangling them. It's like,
dude,
you've been assassinated.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah, that just walks itself out, like just an arm holding on to one of those like bars in the zero-G things, passing by various.
Oh no, the vent system, man, the vent system.
Yeah, and then it just crawls through the vents on the fingers, like with the arm up, like an insect. It just crawls out.
Fun question: what makes that? What differentiates a drone from that?
Nothing.
Well, because it's an drone is. Well, because in the drone's an AI system, right?
The drone's an AI system because we actually see proper drones in this series.
Yeah. So I think that's like. drones are an actual
Now,
computer-based
but
AI system
morally-
rather than consciousness controlling the drone.
You're still not in the room. You're still not looking someone in the eye.
What are you talking about?
No, but I'd say it's a far more calculated kill than just pressing a button and sealing an entire battlefield's fate.
Yeah.
Now, actually, no, this will come up later, but it's the way we see the aerial fight and Soleda's ability at certain levels of certain fights got me thinking about drones as well, but I'll bring it up later.
Okay. So we see here Miura basically storms in and is, basically challenging her father and like, you can't do this, like why, and again, basically Delling saying, like literally he says, I am king. So that was pretty interesting and cool and like a showing of his power. However, she then challenges
admitting that.
Yeah, she then challenges him to a duel and is like, listen, if you can't even go by your own rules that you created, because remember, dueling basically is like sacred. It's like how you do business, right? Marriage proposals, money exchanges, apologies, right? Dueling is like a currency, right? Like a deal, like a business
that's what we
deal.
hear about the school. We don't hear anything about that outside of it.
Well, that's true, but he's the one that created it. So that's kind of like, it's like,
I don't know if
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Lucas.
I don't know if any of you guys know like BattleTech, but this is very clan-like. Because in BattleTech, a faction called the Clans, they basically resolve everything through battle challenges, where they're like,
Yeah.
I declare duel, and then okay, I let's have a fist fight, and then I bring one guy. I say I bring one guy, but his arm is tied. One arm is tied behind his back. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do the same for my guy. Let's fight.
Yeah.
This is exactly how this is, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So then basically the show ends off with she's visiting Soleta and says, look, they can release you, but you gotta like basically fight and do a duel, or you're gonna be stuck in prison and your Gundam, your Ariel is gonna be smashed to bits because she doesn't know that it's a Gundam yet. So, but what would you guys say about this episode? How many out of 10? What's your score here? Dave, we'll start with you.
Wait,
we didn't do the first
this one. Just felt like a lot of
we didn't do the first episode score, did we?
Do you want to talk about the first?
Yeah, you know what? Go. Yeah. Let's do the first episode score. What are you gonna get? What are you gonna give it?
Oh man, maybe definitely not as good as the prologue.
Yeah.
Soleta's stuttering was definitely an issue for me.
Yeah.
So, I'd still say it was a good episode. So probably like a solid 7. I feel.
Okay.
I mean, the last 3 or so minutes with that duel were phenomenal.
Yep. Okay, Locus.
I give the first episode like an 8. It's not as impactful as the first episode of, for example, IBO.
Yeah.
You know, when the Barbatos shows up and it's just like, all right, you're all getting bodied.
Yeah.
It was still like, especially the last scene was really cool.
Okay.
But that one last scene being really cool, I'd say doesn't make the episode a 10. It's, like I said, more like an 8.
Okay. Medic?
Okay, so the first I'll give it a 10.
The first episode, you're giving it a 10?
Yes, because I adore how Soleta's portrayed. Like, I empathize with that. I get the feeling of panicked stuttering, not being quite sure people are being sarcastic.
Okay.
And at the same time, it also sold me on it because, like, yes, she's shy. She's panicky.
Mm-hmm.
Even when she's standing up, for someone. But then she shows that if really pushed, she will grow a spine. She will run out onto an active battlefield to headbutt the bitch who stole her sister.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you're all about that Fast and Furious. It's because of family. We got family.
I mean, I'm okay with softer characters that are capable of growing hard when the situation needs to be.
Whoa, growing hard? What are we talking about here?
Listen, you don't get to talk, Mr. Fuda.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But
Yep. Okay. I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
I felt like it did a good job of setting the tone for this. Okay, maybe actually I might drop it down to a 9 just because I really dislike how Ghoul was presented in the episode.
Okay, there you go. Fake Red Comet.
So, I think as far as the characters we got to meet, I enjoyed everybody. I think I'm going to. I fully anticipate missing this school environment one day when these characters might be going through some rough situations.
Mm-hmm.
So the Suletta being annoying thing is not something I can relate to. I think she's cute. I think she's a child, and we're gonna see her turn into a woman, basically.
Okay. You mean she's she's gonna bloom? You mean?
I think at least maturity-wise, things are gonna change.
Okay. So what's your score?
My score, I don't know if I can give it a score. I think it's a perfectly fine episode of Gundam.
Okay.
For what it's going for, I think it achieves everything.
Okay.
So 10, I guess. 5 out of 5.
Oh,
I will on the first episode, I really didn't like the Suletta stutter. Yeah, I found it kind of annoying. For me, as a when I picture kind of like a main character piloting a Gundam, my mind goes to more of like a Top Gun Maverick kind of feel, and I kind of feel like that would be Ghoul. You know what I mean? So having Suletta as the main character piloting a Gundam, for me, right in this episode, I had my doubts and I didn't really do it for me. So I'm gonna give it like a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 tomatoes.
So but I'm actually gonna. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm actually gonna say that the reason why I wouldn't give the episode a 10 is because the later episodes are just so good that I couldn't justify giving every episode a 10, even though I would like to. Just because then the other 10s I would be giving would be way less impactful.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm doing too. I'm looking for any slight flaw.
Yeah,
because there's going to be better later.
Every flaw can be a good rating.
Actually, I might drop it down to an 8, just because, again, I really did not like Ghoul's portrayal.
I did like the point, though, that we almost saw, indeed, a wrongful death in the first episode. So that was interesting.
Not just a wrongful death. If that went really wrong, he could have just crushed Miorine.
That would have been
and then we wouldn't have a series right there. It'd be done. Welcome. Gundam's over.
No, it's like, well done, jackass. You killed the prize.
Second episode. Dave, what do you? Well, let's go with Fake Comet first. What are your? What is your review? What is your score?
I think the prologue is really interesting because it stands on its own and gives us like something to anticipate as far as tone goes in this series.
Yeah.
Now, if we consider the first episode, even though the pilot exists, the prologue exists. The core 12 episodes that we got, and the 4 that we watched, 1, 2, and 3, every single episode builds on the previous episode and just expands on it in a way that I love.
Okay.
So I like episode 2 way more than I liked episode 1, and I really liked episode 1.
Okay. Throw me a score. How many tomatoes?
Like enough to eat like a really big salad.
Okay. Medic, your thoughts?
Your salad.
Medic, your thoughts on the second episode?
I think I'd give it a 9 just because, yes, it was slower. However, it brought in more of the political drama, proved that this wouldn't just be mech fight after mech fight after mech fight after mech fight, and showed glimpses of the wider world, expanded Delling as a character.
Who isn't just a jackass.
Yeah, no, he's not just some power-hungry jackass. He's now a king in he's now king of the castle.
Yeah.
And he is leveraging that power.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's still bound by rules, however loosely he tries to make them for himself.
Right. Locus.
I actually would give this episode an 8 again, because for all the reasons mentioned before, as well as the fact that there's a lot of like character interaction where we get to see some relationships forming, especially with the fact that Miorine Soletta is already worth enough for her that she basically ditches her attempt to run away.
Yep.
To be like, yo, Dad, I'm gonna try to set up to you. You're gonna laugh at me, but like I'm doing it anyway.
I came here to
because I
laugh
want to
at
save
you.
this. Yeah, she's like she throws her entire thing that's probably been what she wanted to do
Yeah.
for years away for Soletta.
Yeah.
And it's already, and then there's Ellen and the other characters, and there's a lot of development.
Yeah.
But because it is a slower episode and it's basically all world building,
Yep. Okay.
it's just not as good as the next episode and then the later episodes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's something I hear a lot nowadays, and I don't really understand. Well, what, to you personally, individually, does slow mean when describing a piece of media or art that you're interacting with? And why? Because I consider the pace of something as a part of the intention of the artist. So is slow positive or a negative? Because when things are slow, like when you're reading a novel, I really love spending time with these characters. And when things are slow, there's like more room to pay attention for things. So the question is, what does slow mean to you?
I would say that to me, slow means that the pace of the events occurring doesn't necessarily slow down, but what is occurring is less. Here's a huge fight. 3 characters just died. Here's a massive revelation. And it's more like we're developing things. We are taking time to spend with the characters outside of like huge major events.
Yeah.
Which, it's for this part of the series, every fight is some kind of major high stakes thing that happens. And the reason why I called the episode slow is because while the stakes are high, it's not like, oh yeah, Soletta is out of the picture now. That decision isn't made. It's like, okay, they talk about things, they elaborate on things, we get world building, and we get reactions.
I feel like
this is what
a fight doesn't explicitly make something a major development. Because a major development that happens in this episode, in episode 2, is Mironi. I can't say the name right now. I don't know why. Miri. Thank you. Miri's rebellion against her father starts here. Prospera's political machinations in the audience's eyes starts here.
This is what it comes down to. It's like, for me, like why I think this episode is slow is that like when I'm reading something, like for example, like an author, when he's describing let's say a scene, and you could say, well, it's we're seeing here a blue lake compared to well, he was standing in front of water, the water rippled, it had this tinge, the sun was beating down. This is what it kind of felt like, where the show was slower. We're still just introducing things. Like, we're introducing characters still. We're still like really early on. And that's why I thought, like, you're still learning things, right? We're not getting into like the massive conflicts and stuff like that, and big battles that, a lot of kind of fans want to see. But I just think that it's slow in that sense, where we're still figuring stuff out. We're still learning about the world. And some people just don't really care about that, That's just why I see it slow. But anyway, like, Dave, what are your thoughts on episode 2?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. Like others have said, it's slow, but it's intentfully that way. We got to see a lot more of the characters that were introduced in the first episode, kind of showcase their personality more.
Yeah.
We see a nice relationship dynamic between Ghoul and his father. It kind of gives us a little bit of insight, at least for me, where it's like, okay, maybe he's not like such an asshole. Like, his father's really moving his hand in this direction.
Yep.
But yeah, I think when we say things are slow, it's a really case by case basis on whether that's a good or a bad thing. Slow doesn't necessarily mean boring. It's just a change of pace, and it really comes up to the writing and how it's presented to determine whether or not it's a good decision to be at this pace or not.
Right.
One of my favorite things about the show right now, and in general, is that the exposition never feels forced. that we're always learning about the world in really natural ways that come as a result of the characters interacting with the world.
Yeah. IC says first episode 8 tomatoes, and for episode 2, 9 tanukis, because basically had me begging for the next episode. Okay, all right, so we'll move on to
that ending was a great cliffhanger. So let her get the fuck out, get an arrow. You need a duel for her to survive.
And she's like,
get in the robot.
She's like, what?
For 2 episodes, so let her fucking panicking.
So we got just over half an hour left. Let's get through episode 3 quickly here. So basically with episode 3, it starts off with, we kind of get to know Soletta a bit more. She wants to do a bunch of things before she gets married. She wants to make friends. She wants to call people by their nicknames in the library, and she wants to date. So is this her committing to marriage here with Mjolnir? Is she like basically, okay, I'm agreeing to this?
I assume she is, because like from around this point onward, she's not really concerned about it.
I think that she knows that she's there representing her mother and their corporation.
Yeah.
And if this is something, so I think there's definitely a part of her that's just like on board with it because it's the smart thing to do, business wise, and also it's a way that the school operates. It's just a part of the reality, and so if she's interacting with that reality, it's how she makes friends.
I just feel like she is not that, like, again, socially bright, so she's just kind of going along with things. Like, she kind of seems like a big oomph, you know what I mean?
Big oomphy?
Yeah,
like,
big oomphy.
Even if this marriage were something she were uncomfortable with, the way we see her presented, I don't think that's something she'd be able to say no to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Miorine wears the pants in the relationship.
Basically.
Without wearing pants. She wears the leggings in the relationship.
The next kind of like scene that we see, which is like, really was really exciting for me, because like the episode 2 ending, like little silhouette at the end, the after credits was showing the Darbald, however you pronounce it, and Darbalde, and it was like, holy shit, this is like, it's red, it's fast, it has like this beam sword, it's just wrecking like the training robots. I'm like, this is like Char stuff here, right? This is intense.
This is Jr.
Yeah, this is crazy, right? So I got so hyped for this episode, and like we finally see like the new machine, and I was excited for it. Like, were you guys like excited to see it? Like, what was your thoughts on how it looked and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think my favorite character.
Yeah.
As he grows. And also the mobile suit designs for everything that company has put out and everything that Ghoul has piloted are always my favorite kinds of designs. Yeah. I'm a big Zaku head, and that entire Zeonic line are my favorite mobile suits, period. Yep. So seeing these chunky boys that look like bugs, like they're like big beetle looking things, really speak to me. And also I've seen the high grade in person. Because of the shop I go to frequently. Yeah. It's the fucking nicest looking high grade in person that I've maybe ever seen.
Really?
The high grades for the series are immaculate.
Okay.
They're like really
I can say the same thing. I've built of course the Ariel, which me and my girlfriend got at the local hobby store, and we bought 2 or 3 that they had.
Lucky you, bro.
You can find them at a hobby store?
No.
Yeah, we found it at a
in freaking Europe. Of all places.
No. This was in America.
Oh, okay.
This was like 3 months ago, and we were frequenting a local what is it called? Hobbytown, USA. Yeah. And we came in looking for, like, I wanted a normal Zgog because I had a Zgog master grade.
Yeah.
And she wanted a master grade GOG. And we saw the Witch from Mercury kits, and we were like, okay, 2 RALs, the Ghoul Salenza for her. And then we were like, okay, we're out of the store, bye. And I actually got the normal colored Delenza, the green Dalenza standing
Yeah.
on my shelf.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
is such a great kit. Same with the Ariel. The Ariel has like some weird building on the chest pieces,
Okay.
but apart from that, these kits are just so good.
Yeah, no, I love my Oreo kit. I could never figure out the shoulder stickers.
Dave, what'd you think?
I got the. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do I think of which one?
The Darabalde.
Okay,
When you
perfect,
first
yeah.
saw it. When you
Okay.
first saw it.
I think the show did a good job of making me hyped about it. I thought it was really cool, but personally, I'm not a big fan of these like thicker, large designs.
Oh, we got a thin boy like her here.
I
Yeah,
get it.
like
the
the
flag is
design I
awesome, but you
love.
gotta give respect to the thicker boys.
I respect it. It's just like if it's
As a
not
big
a-
boy
Hey, man,
myself,
you
man.
you like what
it's
you
not a
like.
kit
It's
I'm gonna
fine.
go, what am I
It-
gonna get?
you like what you like. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Even if
definitely
you're
more
wrong.
partial to like the Lifrit and the aerial
Yeah.
designs. I think they're really nice. And just going on the topic of like the high grades, I think Bandai's done an amazing job
Okay.
with these high grades. I think they're really like pushing the boundaries of what can be done at like this quality.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah. When I first saw like the Dower Blade show up, I was like, oh, that's sick. I still really appreciate it for what it was. It's just not like my first pick for a mobile suit.
Okay. It's interesting because when we first see the oh my god, I fucking hate the name. The Darbalde, we see it with Ghoul, and he's kind of mad. You guys know why he's mad?
Because of
Because he has
there's
daddy
AI
issues.
No one has given him respect, and
Yeah.
well, to the degree that they have said, "Yeah, no, we just need you in the cockpit so that we can claim this
Yeah.
is your win." We have an aimbot installed,
Basically.
which like
Yup.
somewhat makes sense because like this is how they're handling the Darabalde drone tech.
Yes.
So I was psyched to like this is what I mentioned when I was talking about we saw proper drones.
Right. Again,
The difference is it lacks any real adaptability.
right. Well, I just thought it was like interesting because it's going back to the drones again, right? It's just I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, remote weapons are going to be the bread and butter of this show.
Yeah.
Yup.
Unfortunately.
One of the
They're
friend I
also
was
going to be
watching
the
with
mustard gas of the show by the end of the series.
the friend I was watching was really mad about the fact that they were funnels. He was like, I hate funnels. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to
funnels.
point out that mustard gas is against the Geneva Conventions post World War I. It is unethical and illegal to use in war.
And here we
And
are.
drones
Yeah.
aren't there yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
in real life, drones are well on the way to being that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Spielberg movie, Bridge of Spies, but it's about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just letting you know.
In the so basically after that we get another we get an interesting scene with Soletta and Prospera talking, and Soletta asks the question, is Ariel a Gundam? And I thought that was like kind of interesting and weird. Like all this time Soletta had no idea. Do you guys remember the Ilfriths being mentioned to Eerie that they're Gundams or Gundams
No.
in general?
No,
I don't think it was.
Like it was. I don't think that. Well, she would have really understood what that meant at the time, anyway, since she clearly doesn't remember that.
She was Thor.
Yeah, she was fucking 4. Like, do you remember anything?
don't remember
Look,
what I
I
did
remember a
last week.
lot when I was 4. What the hell?
I
are you
The only
talking
thing I
about?
remember when I was
there's-
Thor is my aunt. I mean, never mind.
I don't think it was ever explicitly mentioned
Yeah.
to her. Of course, in like the time between that, maybe they had talked about Gundams or something like that.
Like-
But we don't see on screen that Prospera's like, the Ilfrits are a Gundam or Gundam, and like the word is never mentioned to her.
But I thought when the Ilfrith lights up, doesn't it like the console say Gundam or Gundarm, or I thought it said something like that. So I thought like once they escaped, like she would have like learned, hey, Ariel's a Gundam just through.
Okay, but did Ari know how to read?
No, I'm not talking about like Ari at age 4. I'm talking about like when they went to Mercury, and I'm just, I would be like, what is this? Like, why does, when the console lights up, it says like, Gundarm or Gundam? I don't know.
I'm assuming that Ariel doesn't do that because it would be really hard to pass it off as drone
obviously
tech.
now, but I'm just saying in the development process. But maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. And
I assume that would have been the first thing Prospera changed about the UI.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. Okay, I agree.
Like,
And
they might have changed it in the flight over.
You're probably right. And Prospera says to Soletta that Ariel and Soletta are her precious daughters. So again, there's two things I think about this.
Theory.
Two things about I think about this. Like, why is she calling Ariel her daughter? As in the main. At this point, I'm thinking like, I wonder if she just thinks of like Ariel and like Soletta more as tools for what they're going to help her to do. Because at this point, I'm thinking, well, you know, the prologue, and maybe this is kind of like a slow revenge story, and like revenge has overcome her, kind of like her anger, and she'd be willing to do anything to avenge her husband and the people at the facility. So she's saying like, you know, the daughters as precious as like they're more tools for her than actual daughters.
So something we haven't brought up yet is we've all talked about, it's Utena. There's a metaphor. We haven't brought up Shakespeare's The Tempest. The story of a man named Prospero.
Yes.
With the aid of a wind spirit named Ariel.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Trying to take revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never heard of that before. But I
don't
read much. No, I'm not.
Cool, dude. No, I'm excited for you. I would recommend buying like the No Fear Shakespeare and going through it.
Or just wikiing it or something, you know.
This is her revenge story.
I would say read it.
So at the same time, a question. You say, she calls them her beloved daughters, but go back at the look at the line. Does she ever actually use words in the context that in a specific manner where she could? Well, there is 100% no lie a way that she was referring to Soletta, or did she just say, they are my precious daughter? And because remember, Japanese pronouns aren't gendered. She could have easily said, she's my precious daughter, and only been referring to the Ariel.
I guess we'll know when we get the dub.
Yeah. Well, no, I have to actually ask maybe someone who knows Japanese.
I only know that because, like, Metroid, they were able to. Yeah. That is how, so much time material they're able to keep Samus's gender under wraps until the end, just because pronouns they can use they and that. Well, they basically only have the they and them equivalents.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting. Another interesting scene is when they're going in when Soletta's in the hall, Rika pops up, and the one thing I started noticing in these 3 episodes is that she seems to pop up very conveniently around Soletta here and there, like when she needs her the most, kind of thing. Besides the obviously Inquisition, but it almost seems like. Do you guys think like she's kind of like following her, or it's just kind of like, this is just story stuff? And
I've had the same thought, and I think there's definitely an ulterior motive there to follow Soletta around. That's not just like about this. That's not just like, you're cool, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna be like a groupie or something like that, you know? It's definitely feels like this person has some ulterior reason to be running after Soletta.
I'm sorry, which person?
It's Rika? Rika?
Okay, Rika.
Whoever's the blue-haired chick.
Yeah.
Do we know where she's from yet? This episode?
At this point in the story, no, we don't.
Okay,
no, we know that she's like Earthian because she sits at the table with Choo Choo and
perfect.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we know.
Coincidences and people popping up. Something we brushed over the last episode was was the person who arranged for Mio to get an escape trip to Earth, showing up just in time to give her a trip to go tell her dad he's a dick.
Yeah.
And worth noting that the relay point she was originally given is what allowed Soletta to meet her in the first place. So that woman is almost certainly working for Prospera.
Well,
I don't know.
They did say there was collaborators, right? So we don't know, like, if the collaborators are on Prospera's side, if she's working with their Earthians, what's really going on at this point. We know that for a fact there's a divide between Earthians and
twice she has put Mio in a position to forward Prospera's plans under the guise of taking her to Earth.
Interesting.
That is true.
It's episode 3.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that out.
That's interesting.
I think Prospera loves Suletta. I think that Prospera is definitely motivated by her actions very heavily. But I would say that Prospera loves Suletta. I would say that Prospera definitely loves Ariel. And I think that might be the major difference between Prospera as a parent and maybe these other business leaders as parents, which is why
it's definitely very different. It's definitely very different from what we've seen with the parents and their counterparts. So and
she's our Char clone. If you look at Char and you look at like his motivations in Zeon and how he worked inside of the system, but eventually, like, even when his truth was revealed, he was so twisted that his beliefs were now just like almost just exactly the same as the thing he was fighting in the first place. Yeah. So I'd say that the love is real, even if the love is twisted.
I agree. We then see Prospera. We find out that she blackmailed Vim, and she knew about the assassination, which was really interesting. But
like I said, she got him by the short hairs.
Yeah, but Prospera doesn't really say anything about it. So why don't this kind of shows how much Prospera is into everything, and like I feel like she's like. I don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. She stopped the assassination, but at the same time, she blackmailed. What else is she willing to do to get what she wants, right?
Here's what's really interesting.
Because she didn't, because Delling was going to die, basically, right? Like,
yeah, but it's not enough for her for Delling to die. She needs to be the one to put the death in motion.
Maybe not
pull the trigger, but she can't just let him die. But through random chance. No, she needs to be the one to not directly do it, but like she's not going to have a problem if it's Suletta pulling the trigger. And she might have a greater plan of something like tear down everything he's built first, then kill him.
Yeah, I think Prospera is somebody. She's definitely smart, and I don't think she's going to be blinded by the need for revenge. I definitely think she has a grander scheme at play here, and Delling alive serves a better purpose than him dead at this point.
Can I make a point?
Yeah, go ahead, Lucas.
I think Prospera is far more powerful politically than she is portrayed. This also, using some other knowledge that I won't talk about, but she seems to know everything and know everybody. She seems to have what seems to be almost infinite resources, considering that she built the Ariel and has all this, talking about this company that's supposedly almost out, but is basically just flying under the radar. If we think about the fact, what if she's hiding profits or having other companies, which, real companies do to hide how much money they actually make?
Yeah.
So that
we don't know her. We don't know.
It doesn't show up.
Yeah, we don't know. Like we know that she's got like over 300 clients and other companies, but we don't really know who those are. Right? It could be.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about her except that she's apparently in charge and that she's Suletta's mom and that she seems to have favors and strings with like everybody.
Yeah.
Why do you think she wears the mask?
It's
to hide her face.
No, it's said to in I think after episode 2. Actually, I think it's maybe after this. She wears it because it's under the assumption that it helps control her arm.
Oh no, she claims she wears it because my eyes were injured on Mercury. I need this to see, and like then we see her without the mask. It's pretty fucking obvious.
Yeah.
She's lying out her ass. The mask is to project the image of Prospera so that she doesn't have. So that no one connects it to Eleonora.
Do you guys think we ever see
also because almost definitely she is a Char clone or maybe a Quattro clone. Probably not a counterattack era.
Char and Quattro are different characters.
He didn't care who she was. She put on the
Char
mask.
Aznable died in the 1 Year War.
Yeah.
But like, actually, no. She might actually even have bits of counterattack Char, given that she's almost always backlit in a way that makes her look almost holy when she's being creepy.
All right, guys. Just for time's sakes, we're gonna move on to the next thing. The next thing I wanted to mention was the head of the Grassley Corporation and was talking to Shadiq. And what I didn't actually know was Shadiq was actually adopted into the head of the family. I didn't know that. Was like mentioned in like the show?
It was, yeah.
It was?
Yes, it's mentioned later, I think.
Oh, okay.
But it's later. It's like not mentioned.
Somebody said
spoilers for people who haven't seen it. Okay, I
They
didn't know
mocks
that.
him for it.
But I thought it was interesting that basically he wanted Shadiq to look into like Prospera, and they were very curious about her. And
Also, worth noting, the head of Grassley was Delling's boss from the prologue.
Yeah. But he was.
And now he's
when
the
thing was
fiddle to his old subordinate.
Yeah, when I remember when there was like that little clip where someone was whispering something into Zanelli's ear, like he got really he was really shocked of what was happening. But anyways, I digress. Moving on, we basically see like Elan going to Soletta, taking her to the dueling committee. And it's kind of like interesting. It's almost like a UFC standoff where they stand in front of each other and like size each other up a little bit before kind of like wagering what they're dueling for. We get that little part where Soletta sticks up for Ghoul, moving forward, because what's her name? Cecilia is like, oh, you better not lose this fight because your market will go down, or is it already bottomed out, stuff like that. So making fun of him. And we get that little elevator scene of how Soletta talks about her mom. And if you run, you gain 1. If you move forward, you gain 2. She talks about that. And you could see how it really affects Ghoul, because he was kind of thinking about how like he didn't have parents like that. Because he mentions like you have good parents, and she's like, yeah, and he's kind of like saddened, like you feel that like that little moment where he kind of reaches for his hand, or I think his cheek or something like that, and he's like, and you can kind of feel that pain. Like I felt it anyways. I don't know if you guys resonate with that, but I kind of felt like,
yes, I definitely resonate with that.
Yeah,
on like a whole personal level.
Yeah, like he's something that he wanted, and I feel that's where I kind of was like, there's a bit more. There's a bit more to Ghoul, so I kind of like really enjoy that. But what did you guys think of the rematch and the bullshittery with the sprinkler system and the AI?
I think it's very interesting because it shows something that like is also very present in like the the BattleTech stuff, which is it feels very derived from, where like if you have better backing and you can do certain things that are halfway legal but they're not really legal, but everybody will be like, yeah, whatever, you did it and you won, that's what matters at the end. But I think the drone thing was incredibly interesting because it lost Guel the fight. Soletta was just sitting there for like what felt like a solid minute, and the drone was like,
she was running.
I'm not gonna do.
She was like running at one point, right? Running away. So
and the drone was like, I'm going to sit here and do nothing. I could shoot this girl, I could run her down, and I'm just gonna sit.
The drone didn't know how to capitalize on the advantages it had been handled. Well, it had been handed in the form of these sprinklers.
Yes.
We see Ghoul eventually default to the melee style combat again, which is really fascinating because he plays to his strengths. Again, we see a rebellion of youth against their parents. Or of people being cogs inside of a machine. Like we are in real life, people who work 9 to 5s or whatever to exist in this capitalism. And I really like that about Ghoul. I think that Ghoul is going to be like the people's champion as we see him become more and more truly what he is, or maybe like his mother, because it seems like there's a connection there that we might see more of.
To go on top of that, I felt like this fight, as much as it was a fight between him and Soletta, I feel like it was another like metaphor between a fight and his father kind of thing. So I thought that was
100% agree. I think for that reason, this is probably one of my favorite fights in the series so far.
Yeah.
I mean, the action is just great. We see some cool like gimmicks from Ghoul's new mobile suit.
Yeah.
Some great stuff from Soletta, but like the internal struggle in Ghoul of like, this is my fight. I can't let my father keep intervening like this. Like I need to prove to him, but more so to myself, that this is something I can do. And it was like a really, really nice scene, and I really appreciated that.
I'm not gonna lie, I low key was hoping he'd win.
Yeah, kind of too.
Yeah, no, like this was the point where Ghoul
love
started
that
showing as a character. This is the point where he started showing depth.
Yeah.
And started like showing just how much his self-worth relied on validation from winning.
Yeah.
At this point, the only person showing him any respect was Soletta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if the episode was changed and it was basically Ghoul on his own with it, who wins?
If Ghoul didn't have the AI interfering with his fight, and Soletta didn't have the bits, because there's no way that she's controlling the bits. I think at a surface level, I think Ghoul is technically more skilled. Sure,
100%.
Like Ghoul is still skilled. I'd say that Soletta still directs the bits in a way that Ghoul doesn't direct the AI. Also, we need to factor in the fact that Ghoul got a really early advantage from the sprinklers and never once thought to consider, someone's cheating in my favor.
Well, Ghoul doesn't even consider it cheating. That's just a part of the culture there.
Well, no, because it did say that, like, when the sprinkler system was on, I can't remember who mentioned it, but it's like in real battles, stuff like this will happen. So we have we're gonna let it continue.
It's allowed to happen. Yeah, that was the board. I think that Soletta would still win because no matter how much time Ghoul has had training, which can't be a lot, if any, he would not know how to use those shield bits and the blade bits anywhere close to effectively as DAI, and he almost gets taken out first shot by Soletta, and the only reason he makes it out is because the AI uses one of the shield to block the blow.
Also, both of you assume he can even use the additional drones.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know.
We don't know.
He could even use them.
Because he does not operate any of them after the AI goes out.
Yep.
But by that point, he doesn't need to. He just has the sword hand since he's lost the regular hands.
Yeah, he goes in basically. Yeah, okay.
But I was under the impression that they were being solely directed by AI.
Well,
that from the cockpit, you need the gun system to effectively maneuver bits.
Unless, of course, AI is controlling it, right? The drone technology or whatever, right?
Yeah, but as we've seen, the AI for the drones has a lot of flaws. It can be baited easily. If you know how it thinks, you can easily outmaneuver it just like any given video game NPC.
In this episode, it's so weird that like Soletta doesn't have this problem with her bits. It's just strange.
It's because she's got the
Eva theory.
Anyways, we'll go on to our final thoughts. How are you guys going to grade this? We'll start with Lucas.
I think we left out the most important part.
What do we leave out?
The proposal.
Oh, jeez. I wasn't even okay. I wasn't going to talk about this, man, because the proposal I feel was just I don't know.
I think it's a huge moment because here's my theory. It's
the most important moment.
Fine.
Here's my theory for the end of the show. Eventually, we get like an arc where like either Mjolnir dies or something else crazy happens, and I just really want to see the best pilot and the second best pilot, wherever you want to put them, because either Soletta is the first or Ghoul is the first. I just want them to be together, They look so cute together.
Shippers.
To me, it was strange.
I have a weird theory, too.
To me, it was really weird that he'd just be like, I'm this Chad and like whatever, and then like all of a sudden, like I got like, humanized and gotten off my stool, and then my first reaction is like, will you marry me? So I don't know, it's kind of...
Can I explain something that I extrapolated from it?
Whoever wanted to talk first, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, whoever wanted to go first, but it's specifically relating to this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ghoul in this fight
Ghouletta.
is Ghoul specifically lets go of his father in a sense.
Yeah.
Because he completely no longer has his father's favor. His father doesn't trust in him. He completely measured his self-worth to the way that others felt for him, namely his father. And now he doesn't have that. It's been eliminated from him. There's a hole in his heart. The only kindness he's ever seen and mutual respect he's ever seen was from an outsider that didn't see it, was from Suletta. That fills the void right there. And there's also just in the way in which he like experiences his reality, where like these proposals are big deals, business deals, and he's just like seeing someone who is good to him for the first time.
You are someone I want to tie myself to.
Exactly.
I would also say it's because this is the first person that managed to beat him. So the reaction for somebody who's like, let's call it the Chad, who's in charge of everybody, everybody's running after him. If there's somebody that can beat me, I want them on my side so they won't beat me.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike when Ghoul won, Suletta didn't rub it in. She didn't demand.
She was just like, okay, I won.
She said sorry.
And then she complimented him.
Yeah, no, then she complimented him, and in that moment, he's like, "This is the most perfect girl alive."
I still lost, but she thinks I'm really good.
Yep.
But what do you got? But he has his lackeys that follow him around and kind of say yes to.
Anything. She doesn't know him, and they know his status.
Yeah, like if one thing's clear, is that Suletta does not care about your status.
Right.
She's going to need to explain to her, and even then, she's probably not going to care.
Stand it.
Guys, I feel really bad because the next couple episodes are going to be with the other group. So unfortunately, I won't hear your take on it. So
I think we're going to go over the next few the same episodes with them.
Oh no, I'm doing something crazy.
A little bit.
We're not getting your takes on the next 3 episodes. I mean, I can't.
But that means
we'll
we don't
see.
get to
Should we do a rating real fast?
We'll see.
Yeah, let's do the rating before the show ends.
Hold on. The what?
Let's do the rating before the show ends.
The rating? All right.
Like,
you want to see the rating?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
Yes.
jackets worn as capes.
What the hell?
Love that a lot.
Go, Medic. What's your rating?
I'm gonna say around 8. Like the end got me. The fight was good, but it just didn't. It didn't hook me in quite the same way as episode 1, 2, where the prologue did.
Okay.
Like it gave a lot of depth to Ghoul, but ultimately it was just a rematch, and honestly, just kind of start the trend of Ghoul turning into a punching bag.
Okay.
I think it's
Locust. Go ahead.
I give this episode a 9. It's almost perfect, but then like the proposal kind of comes out of left field, even though it does make sense. And again, it just doesn't hit those same emotional notes that the later episodes hit. Because this one is more, it's kind of lighthearted, kind of funny, even though there's high stakes. But then some of the later episodes just don't care and punch you right in the gut. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna rub it in real good.
Okay. Fake comment?
I think that moments like these that let us fall in love with the characters make those gut punches hurt more.
Yeah.
So it's entirely necessary.
Yes.
It's not just world building, it's like character building. A great character building episode for everybody involved, I think. And again, still more subtle exposition for the rest of the story. Like it's very efficient.
Yeah.
It's not wasting its time. My rating is
how many bits out of 10?
One giant, big, comfy cape, and a little fat red panda sitting in my lap, and me just crying.
Okay. Okay, Dave, what's your thoughts on the episode, and what's your rating out of 10 bits?
I mean, overall, probably one of my favorite episodes so far. It's not as strong as the prologue, in my opinion, but out of the first 3 episodes, I think it's the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a really strong 9 bits out of 10.
Yep.
I mean, since I was introduced to Ghoul, I kind of liked him. I always like the antagonistic character, and he's not like purely evil. He's just kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
But learning about like the dynamic between him and his father and seeing that personal growth in the fight was really cool, and it probably puts him like top 3 characters for me, probably top 2.
Yep.
So yeah, 9 out of 10 for this episode.
I'm gonna have to say like this is between probably an 8 or a 9 Tanukis out of 10. I really liked the battle. The Darabald, was really cool. The fact that there was kind of like 2 battles at once happening going on between him and his dad and him and Soletta. So that was pretty cool. And the marriage proposal was a little bit weird to me, but now that I talk about it with you guys and kind of understand it a bit more, it kind of makes me like the episode a bit more. So yeah, that's what I give it. Before we first of all, thank you guys for your thoughts on that. That's the episodes and talking about it. One thing I did want to say too is like after like rewatching the episodes, I'm actually enjoying the show more than I did the first time around. I'm not sure if you guys are feel the same way, but I'm actually enjoying it more the second time.
This is actually the third time I've seen it, and yeah, no, it's still good.
Yep.
It's like I had cake, and I finished eating my cake, and then I went back to the box for crumbs, and I'm loving the crumbs because the cake was so delicious, and I just can't wait for the next part of the core.
Okay. IC says episode 3 is 9 bits out of 10. Amazing character development in an incredibly short amount of time, but the Delanza is way cooler than the Darabalde. The next part, the next thing I want to do is actually do a little segment because it's called Gundam Gunpla Grunts. We talked a little bit of Gunpla already, but we're going to talk about Grunts now. And I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but I have here with me the
hey, it's a GM.
The RGM 79.
Ooh.
We have the gym.
We have the
unknown acronym.
We have the well-written kind of categories here. We have the
you want me to get you something? You want me to whip up something better for next
pretty
time?
Much anything you can draw in probably has a text function, right?
Yes, but
I was about to say I can just boot up Affinity.
No, this has a nice personal chart.
Look,
use word art.
This is actually me trying really hard
LVKE warm.
Look, it's Sub-Zero category. It's the lukewarm category. You can
clearly, that is very clearly a Y.
You can clearly see it's lukewarm, and we have the hot category. All right, where is the classic GM boy in your opinion? Where does he go on this board for Grunts?
I say hot. Perfect.
Well, we're gonna start with medic.
Zaku is the perfect antagonistic mook, and I feel like the GM is the perfect culmination of what a heroic mook should look like. A visor face to contrast the mono eye.
Okay.
It's the Gundam, but scaled down. It looks so much cleaner and more angular and matches the Gundam itself so well.
Yep.
I feel like
not anymore.
A lot of mooks have since tried to...
Oh, shit, he's gone.
God damn it, you made him wide.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm actually going to add my
Honestly,
2
the
cents.
bigger the better.
I don't
He's a big
own a
boy.
GM Gunpla kit,
Yeah.
but we bought one with my friend. It's $10. It comes with a shield, a gun, and 2 beam swords. And it took like 30 minutes to build. It's hot. It's good. Like, there's no complaint here. Yeah.
What do you got?
That's hot.
Dave, what do you think?
Love it. That's hot. I mean, just
You
classic.
guys are out of your goddamn minds.
That's just classic fucking mecha design right there. Nice rectangular boxy shape. But like one thing that I personally really, really like, I love visors. The eyes are cool and all, but something about visors is so
mouth
cool.
Plate. Like, give me Soundwave faces. Give me all the Soundwave faces.
Soundwave. Best Transformer.
Like, I'd argue that the single best design is probably still Transformers Prime, though, just because, like, that blank screen.
So you guys, you guys all think this is hot?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You guys are absolutely insane. I think
We're
it's
insane. You're over here trashing the gym.
look. I think it's a really dull design. I think it
Why
really
is it dull
lacks.
to you?
Yeah, well, what
I-
makes this dull?
I think it looks just so generic. You
Oh,
know
my word,
that.
that's
Not even
It looks like you know a 10-year-old
military equipment.
like a 10-year-old could draw. You know, I just feel like it just
You
it,
draw this.
it lacks really
Look
anything.
okay, I was defending your
So-
handwriting earlier, but like
so-
if you're gonna talk about drawing, bro.
So-
Yeah, for real,
sorry.
brother.
Look at your lines,
So
bro.
Oh, what the hell? Oh,
so-
it's generic. Yeah, it is. That's the point.
So I actually
Oh my God.
since basically I decide in the end, but you know, I know you guys think it's hot. You know, I've listened to all the arguments, and it's going down to Sub-Zero. You know, it's
Okay, so
basically just the bottom of the bottom for me. You know, it doesn't do anything special for me. Even though like it was my first kit like ever.
It was your first kit ever.
It was my first kit ever. It was a
Also,
master.
I
race.
see
Classic Gundam
courtesy of
design.
Luke.
that
Look,
I see you in
inspired
the chat. I
generation.
see 2 weeks from now we're having words.
I'm gonna, I swear, I'm gonna find you, drop a comment
Not
on your house.
least
Wait.
put it in lukewarm.
So
Wait, how do you feel about Granddaddy then?
hold on. Look, we're talking about the gym, okay? So
Okay.
I actually feel less warmly about the
If you don't like Grandpa, dude,
So-
I might lose my mind.
So
Like,
right. Hold on. We're
fine.
talking about grunts only here. So right now it's he's going Sub-Zero. Lack of power just absolutely gets demolished by Zaku's left, right, and center. It's
Wait,
yeah,
what
they
was-
call
what
it the
were you
gym over like G. Like, you know, Jim's a throwaway name. You know, and
As Zaku.
guys for that I'm throwing in Sub-Zero. I'm just throwing it away.
Aya, I'm going to find where you live. I'm
Why
going to
did you
find
even ask?
Anyway, well, I gotta hear your opinions. You know, you might want to.
For what reason?
Well, you could sway me, you
You
know,
heard our
but I'm not
That's
swayed.
all wrong.
I'm not
You're
swayed.
not our god. This
I'm
is a
not
democratic system.
I'm not swayed, but okay, you know what?
Yeah,
Fine.
but Aya,
Fine.
sitting on
Fine.
the throne, just this thing is
Fine.
Sub-Zero.
Fine. There. Okay. There.
You know what? No.
It's right.
Make
there.
it Sub-Zero because this brother's cold as hell. He goes so hard.
Cool as hell.
The
My
GM is the Black Air Force Ones of
Dude,
mobile.
Jim's
I think-
icy, bro.
I think you misunderstand what
Bro,
Sub-Zero
ice
means.
in his veins, bro. Nothing but drip.
Okay.
Sub-Zero is the best Mortal Kombat ninja, ergo Jim is Sub-Zero.
Period. Period. They're all good. Lukewarm. Have you seen Star Wars?
Oh,
Luke comes from Tatooine. Of course he's warm.
oh my God. Anyways. This
shit, I'm laughing so hard.
Congratulations, Aya. You have started discourse in the span of like 2 seconds. We went 0 to 100.
This went so well.
Am I the
You
baddie?
know what?
yes.
You know what? I like the dynamic between us. We were just going hard into the shit.
Hey, I do it again.
This went from a circle jerk to now one of us has to eat the waffle.
Okay, guys. Look, you know, thank you so much for spending like 3 hours with me. You guys are all awesome, and we did a lot today. We went through, you know, the introduction of how you guys got into Gunpla and Gundam. We talked about the prologue and the first 3 episodes of I'm not sharing my waffle. Okay, that's great.
She's my
Waffle.
girlfriend, by the way.
I need lunch.
Oh yes. Hello. Anyways, guys, you know, thank you again so much. We're gonna do this again soon. But that was the first episode of Gundam Gunpla and Grunts, the first podcast. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you guys again soon.
See you again. Let me just get
Yeah,
this
see you
redeem
guys.
first.
Yeah. See ya.
Peace.
It's